American Comics. God-level ability, can hit infinitely. Chapter 1. Kamar Taj. Inside the practice room. A magician is lecturing ahead. The portal, the most important thing is to communicate with the natural energy in this universe. Concentrate your thoughts and don't be disturbed by the outside world. Okay, do you have any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask questions. After speaking, the magician looked at Li Xuan gently. There is encouragement in the eyes. Li Xuan couldn't help the corners of his mouth twitching a bit. He also knows what this magician named Aldridge means. Definitely let him ask the right questions. After all, in Kamar Taj. Like him, after 3 years of study, he didn't even learn the most basic portal, which is really rare. No. It can be said to be unique. The magician apprentices who came in with him back then, some even became official magicians and started to protect the earth. Li Xuan is still learning the most basic courses. Every day I listen to magicians' lectures, and then practice with everyone, drawing circles in midair, hoping to master the portal. After these 3 years, Li Xuan has not learned the portal. This made many magicians in Kamar Taj complain, thinking that it was a waste of him to occupy a spot. Although most of the people are very kind, there are still a small number of people who roll their eyes at him every day. It will be restarted for the 10,000th time soon. What kind of life have you lived in these 3 years? I don't know if this system can give me something good. Don't really say 3 years later. Li Xuan couldn't help sighing in his heart. A transparent screen appeared above his retina. The cooling of the system is over. Can be re-extracted 1010. Miracle Life System, give you a completely different life. Today's drawing opportunity has been refreshed, do you want to draw? See system. Li Xuan somewhat regained his spirit. That's right. He is a time traveler. As soon as awakening came, he found himself transported to the Marvel world, becoming a magician apprentice in Kamar Taj. Marvel world. It's a very dangerous world. Immortals walk all over the place, and there are as many tricks as dogs. Ordinary people in this world may die directly every moment. If any superhero kills a villain, no one knows how many people will die. Don't say anything else. When the Green Titan rioted in New York, one street person died, which shows how dangerous this world is. Kamar Taj is considered the safest place. But Li Xuan knew. A few years later, Kamar Taj was not safe either. Disciples of the Sorcerer Supreme betrayed to the dark Mephisto Dormammu. At that time, when he attacks the 3 holy places, no matter whether it is an official magician or a big magician like Wang, he will fall. Not to mention him, a magician apprentice who is not much better than ordinary people. Fortunately, when he crossed over, he bound the system. It can be reopened constantly and extract everything from the heavens and worlds. Ability, items, skills and so on. Li Xuan, who knows the dangers of the Marvel world, is naturally unwilling to take an ordinary thing and linger in this world. If he wanted to be invincible in this world, he naturally had to extract the most powerful thing. Every time he was not satisfied with what he drew, he would give up. In such a flash, 3 years have passed. 3 years. He didn't draw any top-level treasures. This made Li Xuan smile wryly at his non-chief physique. I hope I can draw something good this time. If it takes another 3 years to get kicked out of Kamar Taj, it will really become a laughing stock. Li Xuan took a deep breath in his heart. System extraction. In front of him, a burst of colorful light flickered. 10 cards of different colors were placed in front of him. White, blue, purple, 9 cards are all these 3 colors. This also means that this is not a good thing. Maybe the last card. It made Li Xuan's eyes widen suddenly. This card turned out to be in 7 colors. This made Li Xuan, who had played the system clearly for a long time, excited. Colorful. Represents the god level. 10 consecutive draws are over. The extraction results are as follows. Ninjutsu. Fire escape. Sword 23. Skimming the worthless things in front of him, Li Xuan directly set his eyes on the colorful card. God level ability. God level ability can give unparalleled ability. No matter what you learn, you can learn it quickly, and it will produce a critical strike, which can make magic reach an incredible level. Everything learned can be used freely, and even create a stronger part. Can turn him into the most powerful genius in the world. It's so awesome. Li Xuan was extremely excited. If he hadn't been in the training room, he would have jumped up and cheered excitedly. 3 years. How difficult it was for him to live these 3 years. But today, it all paid off. He won a god-level ability. Finally come. Li Xuan felt excited. The system is truly invincible. Li Xuan couldn't wait any longer. The draw is over. Whether to get rewards. Yes. Li Xuan thought of it in his heart without any hesitation. Moment. The colorful cards shine brightly. For a moment, his mind was filled with colorful mysterious lights, as if countless runes had been engraved into his body. Li Xuan felt it instantly. Everything is different. The whole world seemed very different. The magic theory that he couldn't understand at all before, now he understands it very easily. God-level ability. It's awesome. Li Xuan even felt that all he needed to do was wave his hand, and magic would be formed naturally. At this time, Aldridge Magician's voice sounded again. Okay, that's all for today's lesson. Try it yourself and see if you can use the basic magic of the portal. If you can use it, it means that you have already started. Aldridge looked at the apprentices below with a gentle expression. Having said that though, but he didn't think that these magicians could succeed. It's all new magician apprentices here. It's only been a few days to learn the basics, the only exception is that I haven't started for 3 years. Thinking of this, Aldridge looked at Li Xuan. Seeing his concentration, he couldn't help shaking his head. He also watched the child enter Kamar Taj, and practiced very hard every day, and he often gave him a small recipe. Unfortunately, the ability is slightly worse. There was nothing he could do. It is absolutely impossible for Li Xuan to use the portal in the near future. Pay more attention to this kid in the future. Aldridge couldn't help shaking his head. This kind of fluctuation. Aldridge looked up abruptly. Then he saw it. Li Xuan waved her hands. Golden sparks are constantly spinning in midair. In the blink of an eye, a golden portal has formed in front of Li Xuan. Ding! It is detected that the host is learning portal magic. God-level ability produces 100 times critical strike. You have mastered the magic, high-level portal. The system's notification sounded, and Li Xuan's face was full of surprise. Aldridge was stunned. What's the situation? The kid who hasn't learned magic in 3 years. It worked. And this portal doesn't seem simple. What's the situation? It shouldn't be. Same as the magician apprentices around. Aldridge was a little confused. Ashram. All of a sudden it became very lively. The magician apprentices are all boiling. This is the portal. Unbelievable. Even though I've seen it many times, it's still very shocking to watch it again. Didn't it mean that this is Li Xuan's third-year magician apprentice? How could he suddenly use the portal? It's too cute, it's really 2D*K. Are there hidden geniuses around? The magician apprentices who study here are all excited to communicate. They are magician apprentices. Still a magician apprentice who has just entered Kamar Taj. Most of them are learning basic theories, not to mention magic. Many people haven't even learned all the theories. Now suddenly someone directly used the portal. Still in such an easy situation. How could they not be shocked? Many people are a little surprised. Didn't it mean that this person hasn't become a magician after staying here for 3 years? Many people say that dead wood cannot be carved. Why did he suddenly use the portal so easily? Aren't they even worse than rotten wood? Magician apprentices are all very excited. But there are others who are more excited than them. That's Aldridge. He stood up directly from the front with a very excited expression on his face. Go forward, observe this golden portal carefully, and feel the power within it. Confirmed. It's really a portal. Looking at Li Xuan, he is very happy. Xuan, you have learned the portal. Congratulations, you can become a true intern magician, I am proud of you. Li Xuan is very low-key. It's all taught by Aldridge Magician. Without Aldridge Magician's careful teaching, I certainly wouldn't be able to learn the portal so quickly. What Li Xuan said was very honest. To be honest, Aldridge was very nice to him. In the past few years, I have been very concerned about him. All kinds of tireless teachings, no impatience like other magicians at all. He can be said to be very grateful. It doesn't have to be, it's just my job. Well, there is no need to be so polite in Kamar Taj, let me take a closer look at your magic. Aldridge said with a smile. Please advise. Li Xuan said very low-key. Well, let me see. After all, the portal used by the novice magician still has many problems. Aldridge said with a smile. Gather your spiritual power. Aldridge carefully perceived the energy structure of the portal. Immediately afterwards, Aldridge stared, and his heart skipped a beat. How does he feel that the one used by Li Xuan's portal is better than his? Why can't he find any structural flaws in it? He feels. This magic seems perfect. Seeing Li Xuan looking at him expectantly, Aldridge nodded, and said without changing his expression. Yes, your portal is really good. At the same time, I was very puzzled. I go. What's the situation? Why is the novice's portal so powerful? Although the portal is the basic magic of Kamar Taj, every magician must master it. But it doesn't mean that the portal is simple. Just letting go of the mind, without any distracting thoughts, can get rid of most ordinary people. Not to mention, use the energy borrowed from other spaces in the universe to use runes to describe the magic circle. How is this so simple? Ordinary practice magician, it is good to be able to build a prototype, but it is impossible to pass. What about Li Xuan? This portal has lasted for such a long time, and there is no sign of instability at all. What the fool is this 3 years out of a practice class? Aldridge couldn't read it, but was shocked. It felt like a long time again. Confirmed. Flawless. Better than what he used. This kid is a rotten wood that cannot be carved, this is a world tree. Aldridge, who has always been elegant, couldn't help but swear in his heart. The first time I used the portal, it was so perfect, where is this kind of rotten wood? Give him more of this kind of hope. I complained wildly in my heart. But seeing the apprentices around him looking at him, Aldridge cleared his throat and said. Good. The energy is stable and the structure is complete. Among the practice magicians, it can already be regarded as a top-notch level. But don't be proud of the book. It's better than the one used by the portal. There are plenty of people. Aldridge said pretendingly. Although, Li Xuan's portal is the best he has ever seen. But he can't say that. The most taboo thing for a magician is arrogance. Yes, Aldridge magician, I understand. Li Xuan is very low-key. There are more powerful players in the Marvel world. He is just a god-level ability, just started, so keep a low profile. Don't talk about others. That is to say Sorcerer Supreme. Li Xuan doesn't think he can compare to her. Nothing to be proud of. Aldridge looked at the expression on Li Xuan's face and was very satisfied. That's right, magicians must guard against arrogance and impetuosity. Now let's take a look at the transmission distance of your portal. This is also a very important point to measure the level of the portal. A general magician can teleport a few hundred meters at the beginning, which is already very good. Hearing this, Li Xuan also nodded. Exactly what Aldridge said. Portals are not random doors. Although the energy will not be limited, but limited by the magician's mental power, the teleportation distance will not be too far. Like the kind of transmission across the world, in Kamar Taj, it is all at the magician level. Say nothing else. Even Dr. Strange, just starting out, can only teleport from Everest to Kamar Taj. For ordinary people, being able to travel a few hundred meters is the best. Although he teleported farther, he has nothing to be proud of. Therefore, Li Xuan is very low-key. Aldridge over there is very satisfied with Li Xuan's low profile. Then look at the scene behind the portal. There was a thud in my heart. Why is the scene behind the portal so familiar? Aldridge couldn't help rubbing his eyes. Take a closer look. That's right. A lighthouse flag, planted in the gray earth. The whole world should have an impression of this scene. This is the first time humans have landed on the moon and planted their own flag on the moon. This is the scene seen through the portal. This kid opened the portal to the moon. I'm crazy. The apprentices next to him saw Aldridge suddenly froze. Also looked directly along the portal. Seeing the scene inside, they were all dumbfounded. Are you kidding? Am I blind? Didn't the classics say that the portal for beginners can only travel a few hundred meters? Could it be that the classics are wrong? When did we build a moon landing memorial near Kamar Taj? Aldridge magician, what's going on? Why is it different from what you said? Aldridge, people are stupid. Ababa. Aldridge was also dumbfounded. Portal. It is a symbol of Sorcerer Supreme's ultimate understanding of space. Borrow the energy hidden in other dimensions. Being able to open the portal, theoretically, can lead to any corner of the universe. Definitely. The premise is that your mental power is strong enough, able to manipulate that borrowed tyrannical force. For the average magician, it is not so easy to manipulate the tyrannical force borrowed from the deep cosmic space. This is why ordinary magicians cannot teleport over long distances. But Li Xuan, what is the situation? The first time I teleported, the portal opened to the moon for me. You tell me this is the first time learning. Is this a joke? Aldridge took a deep breath. Quiet. What a shame to make a lot of noise. Let me take a closer look. Aldridge took a deep breath, covered his body with a layer of magic shield, and walked directly into the portal. Go through the portal. Aldridge looked at the desolate scene around him, and took another deep breath. Confirmed. It's the moon. Aldridge walked quickly to the flag. Take out your phone. He solemnly took a selfie for himself. Then he walked back through the portal contentedly. Click. One comes out from the portal. The shield on Aldridge's body was immediately covered with a layer of ice. Aldridge scattered the shield, and the ice shattered to the ground. Li Xuan, not bad. You have more ability than I thought. This kind of portal, although it is still a bit behind the official magician, but among the practice magicians, it is already considered the top. But you also have to guard against arrogance and impetuosity, and you can't be complacent because of this achievement. Aldridge forcibly suppressed the surprise and shock in his heart, and pretended to speak. I understand, Aldridge magician. I will guard against arrogance and impetuosity, and continue to work hard. Li Xuan said modestly. It's nothing to be proud of either. Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange, Odin and more. Who can't casually surf the earth? Unless it's something as extreme as Ebony Ma. Which strong man is afraid of space? Lei Shendu felt indifferent. He just opened a portal, and he didn't even have a physical body to go in. What is there to be proud of? In the Marvel world, keep a low profile. Go a little bit. To be able to live for a long time. It would be perfect if he becomes Sorcerer Supreme in Kamar Taj before going out. Of course, Aldridge didn't know what Li Xuan was thinking. If only I knew. He might also be shocked by Li Xuan's big heart. Sorcerer Supreme, he couldn't even imagine it. Ahem, it's all gone, there's nothing to see. Li Xuan can use the portal, you are still far away. You have to study hard. Aldridge spoke. Aldridge magician, after we learn it, can we also go to the moon to take pictures? Aldridge magician, are we going to open a portal to the moon? The intern magicians asked in a hurry. Ahem, you all have a chance. You all have a chance. Aldridge calmly passed the selfie and said. But in my heart I was very disapproving. Joke. He can't even do it. Not to mention going to the moon. It is very difficult for him to teleport on the earth. Open the portal to the moon. Even a big magician can't do it. Aldridge looked at Li Xuan. So this kid turned out to be a peerless genius. He actually taught a peerless genius. He has also heard in legends that some existences, once enlightened, directly become great magicians. Aldridge thought it was a legend. Did not expect. This turned out to be true. Okay, come here today, you all go to practice by yourself. Especially Li Xuan. I just learned the portal, practice hard, and I can go further. The road of magic never ends. Aldridge spoke earnestly. Thank you Aldridge magician for your pointers, I understand. Li Xuan said in a low-key manner. Aldridge is very satisfied with Li Xuan's attitude. Now that you have mastered the portal, you are a real intern magician, and no longer a magician apprentice. After that, you can start practicing by yourself. If you need it, you can go to the library to borrow books. Remember, only is the true power of a magician. The power of the different dimensions of the multi-universe is nothing but the moon in the mirror, and does not really belong to you. Aldridge reminded tirelessly. I understand. Li Xuan nodded. The magic system in the Marvel world is different from the traditional magic system. The power of this magic is amazing, but it also has its own shortcomings. That is, their powers are all borrowed from the multi-universe deep space, or from Mephisto. Like a portal. Other worlds can only be mastered by high-level magicians. Even Thanos uses the space gem to teleport. Any magician in Kamar Taj can master the portal. How is this possible without a cost? Even after death, the souls of many magicians are restless. But, the stronger you are, the more you can delay the time to pay the price. For example, Sorcerer Supreme is even more powerful. After death, he turned into the Holy Spirit and traveled directly with the eternal God. Nothing owed to Mephisto will be repaid. Or it is Sorcerer Supreme. Li Xuan feels that if he reaches the level of Sorcerer Supreme, he will be able to protect himself initially. But, somewhat strangely, his magic seems to be different. After using the portal, he could clearly feel that a kind of power entered his body and began to nourish himself. This may be the abnormal place of God-level ability. Totally different from ordinary people. Li Xuan thought in his heart. If the other magicians in the Marvel world borrow money from Mephisto, then he began to rely on the God-level ability to start pulling wool. It can be seen from this. How powerful is the God-level ability? Even able to manipulate Beelzebub's power. Sure enough, it's a God-level ability, it's really too strong. I will definitely be able to rely on my God-level ability to become one of the strongest in this world. However, before becoming a strong person, the specialness of the God-level ability must not be leaked. Li Xuan thought in his heart. Marvel world. But it's not peaceful. His special features were leaked later. It will definitely invite danger and trouble. Sure enough, you still have to keep a low profile. A little bit as king. Set a small goal and become a Sorcerer Supreme first. Before that, you must keep a low profile. Li Xuan thought in his heart. Li Xuan ordered awakening. After returning home, he began to practice in a low-key manner. He didn't think of it. He was in Kamar Taj and caused an uproar. Kamar Taj. Aldridge hurriedly walked among the antique buildings. There was still a little excitement on his face. God is pitiful. He finally taught a genius. He has to report to the big magician. Although the magicians of Kamar Taj do not care about world affairs, they are also well defined. Intern magician, official magician, own magician, big magician. Under the Sorcerer Supreme, it is these magicians who constitute the healthy structure of Kamar Taj. Aldridge so far. It's nothing more than an official magician. If not, he would have gone out to guard the holy place or guard the outer dimension. How can you teach children here? Even so, the gap between him and the intern magician is not generally large. What he wants to report at the moment is his immediate superior. A disciple of the great magician king, Guan He magician. Walked past a lot of buildings. Aldridge finally came to where the Guan magician was. Knocking on the door, Aldridge opened it and walked in. Sitting inside was a tall man with a big beard who looked very burly. If Aldridge was not familiar with him, some people would believe that he was the Zhongyang thief. But although he looks like a Zhongyang thief, Guan He magician is very gentle. It turned out to be Aldridge. Why have you completed your teaching task today? Guan He put down the book in his hand and asked. Yes, Guan He magician. I have completed the relevant teaching tasks. I'm here because I have other things to do. Aldridge spoke. What's up? Aldridge, it's okay for you to say. Guan He said with a smile. It's about Li Xuan. Aldridge spoke. Hearing what Aldridge said, the expression on Guan He's face became serious. He spoke earnestly. Aldridge. As a magician who teaches the basis, you must not think so. Although Li Xuan's ability is not good, and he hasn't become a magician for 3 years, he was brought in after all. In this case, it is necessary for us to teach him. You can't discriminate against a child just because he has poor abilities. I've also learned that although this child's ability is not good, in the past 3 years, he has never missed the morning class. He is a good child. I know there are some rumors in Kamar Taj, but as one of the basic magicians, you must not think so. Aldridge was in awe when he heard what Guan He said. It is indeed the magician of Guan. Cough cough. I understand this, Guan He magician, you should understand me, I am not this kind of person. I'm here to tell you that Li Xuan is actually a genius. Aldridge spoke very excitedly, and almost stood up excitedly. Guan He. What's the situation? Aldridge is practicing magic, burned his brain out. The magicians throughout Kamar Taj know it. Li Xuan hasn't started basic magic for 3 years, and his ability is the worst in the entire Kamar Taj. Kamar Taj, there is no such magician. This is a genius. Is Aldridge's mind anything but faulty? Aldridge, could it be that you are delirious? It's not that I don't believe you, but what you said is too unbelievable. Although Li Xuan is working hard, his ability is really unsatisfactory. Guan He said. He will not discriminate against Li Xuan's ability, but he will not deny the facts either. No. Guan magician, Li Xuan just didn't show it. He is truly a genius. Isn't there an old saying in your country, if you don't make a song, you're done, and it's a blockbuster? Li Xuan is this kind of genius. Aldridge said excitedly. Guan He. Seeing the excited Aldridge, Guan He thought to himself. Is this kid really crazy? Aldridge, don't get excited. Since you say Li Xuan is a genius, where is his genius? I haven't learned the portal for 3 years, so I can't be considered a genius. Guan He asked with a smile. Just today, Li Xuan has learned the portal. Aldridge said happily. Oh. Then it's really not easy for this child. After so many years of hard work, he finally paid off. Guan He said something very gratified. But you have learned the portal, this is not a genius, is it? Guan He then asked another question. That's the portal where you didn't see this kid. As soon as he learned the portal, he opened the portal to the moon. Aldridge said excitedly. Guan He. Is this a joke on him? Open a portal to the moon. Do you know the distance between the Earth and the Moon? The average distance is 380,000 kilometers. The circumference of the Earth's equator is only more than 40,000 kilometers. After running this distance, you can run nearly 10 laps around the Earth. Open the portal to the Moon. Are you kidding? He can't even do it. I am afraid that only Sorcerer Supreme and a few powerful magicians can do it. A magician apprentice. What an international joke. Guan He had a look of disbelief. Aldridge, this is not a joke. A portal that exceeds your limit is very dangerous. Guan He said very seriously. The portal is not only teleportation magic, but also space magic. One is bad, that is the fate of cutting in half, which is very dangerous. Opening a portal at the extreme limit is one of the most dangerous things. Master Guan He, how could I be joking in this situation? What I said is real. Look here. Talking. Aldridge pulled out his phone. Let Guan He take a look at his photo with the national flag on the moon. Look, it's something from the moon. Don't you think that this is what I can do by myself? Aldridge spoke. Guan He was shocked. Is this M*********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** are hanging up. Are you sure you didn't lie to me? This kid opened the portal to the moon. Stop joking. How could I lie to you about such a thing? Aldrich grinned. Guan He was shocked all of a sudden. There was a puzzled look on his face. He knew what that flag meant, the symbol of the first man landing on the moon. In this era, there are no pictures or anything, and it is generally impossible to fake photos. Generally true. Aldrich has no need to lie to him. So, Aldrich really went to the moon. Li Xuan opened a portal to the moon. But how is this possible? It is completely inconsistent with the basic law of magician practice. Guan He couldn't understand, but he was greatly shocked. Immediately, he stood up. Pull Aldrich and go out. Where are we going, Master Guan He? Nonsense. Definitely go see our genius magician. Guan He was very excited and strode out. 2 flowers bloom, each representing a branch. Aldrich went to report to his superiors. Li Xuan did not return to her room. Instead, he went round and round to his own library. To be honest, Kamar Taj is a magician organization with a very good vibe. Don't say anything else. Kamar Taj's library is completely undefended. Any magician can borrow books here. Even the Vault of Sorcerer Supreme, as long as you can understand it, you can check it out. The classics at this moment don't even have any restrictions. The librarian, that is, a librarian, is responsible for managing borrowed books, and Wang is not in charge. Libraries get strict. Also after Caecilius betrayed and hanged the librarian. Sorcerer Supreme felt that not all classics were suitable for magicians to watch. Only then did Wang manage the library. So, Li Xuan entered the library without any disturbance. Looking at these antique books around, Li Xuan was full of excitement. He can read any of these books as he pleases. With his god-level ability, he can definitely become stronger quickly. However, the road has to be walked step by step, and the meal has to be eaten bite by bite. Let's start learning the most basic magic first. Li Xuan thought in his heart. Tall buildings rise from the ground. Even with the ability, the fundamentals cannot be ignored. Kamar Taj does not have much basic magic, portals, magic shields, magic chains, a fighting technique that enhances physical fitness. This is the basic magic of Kamar Taj Magician. But that doesn't mean it's not powerful. Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One relies on these four magics. One hit the rebel group led by Caecilius. If it weren't for Sorcerer Supreme not killing them, they might all be killed, which shows how powerful these magics are. Li Xuan has learned the portal. Next magic. Li Xuan decided to learn magic chains. It is the magic that Doctor Strange just started to learn to fight against Mordo. Use magic energy to form a high energy chain. Control, attack, cut, defense, it can be called the integration of offense and defense. Li Xuan is very fond of this magic. I wandered around the library for a while. Li Xuan finally found the basic secretary. Analysis of the law of the universe, general history of the world. Knowledge is power indeed. Li Xuan rolled his eyes. Magician is not so easy to be. If you want to become a magician, you have to spend 2 days and 3 years casting spells and 5 years of simulation. Even the composition of magic runes and the structure of the magic circle are unclear. What magic to learn? Fortunately, although Li Xuan didn't learn magic before, his foundation is very solid, and there is no problem in learning magic chains. Appropriate books were borrowed. Li Xuan started studying directly in the library. Concentrate, build runes, borrow power. Ding. It has been detected that you are learning magic chains. God-level ability produces 100 times critical strike. You have mastered the magic chain. The system prompt sounded immediately. Li Xuan was shocked. God-level ability. It's really awesome. Mastered a new magic so quickly. It is too strong. Thinking. Li Xuan was a little eager to try. Put your hands together. The golden silk thread was pulled out directly from his palm. This golden silk thread is covered with tiny runes that are completely invisible to the naked eye. Hundreds of golden silk threads formed a very gorgeous chain. Exudes amazing power. The librarian over there is buried in a book. Suddenly felt magical fluctuations around. Raising his head, he subconsciously wanted to reprimand him. Libraries don't allow magic, don't you know that? But he looked up. Oh, Li Xuan. Magic chain. That's all right. Kamar Taj's magician knows that Li Xuan's ability is not very good. Haven't started for 3 years. Since it is Li Xuan who is practicing magic, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't pose any threat. Joke. Although the library is very ordinary, it looks like an endangered building hundreds of years ago. But this is one of the most important buildings in Kamar Taj. The Eye of Agamotto and the portal to the Holy Land are next door. How can such a building be simple? Every inch of the house is engraved with runes. Even if an earthquake with a magnitude of 9 happened, it would not be able to do anything to this building. Li Xuan. Let him stand there and fight all day, can he destroy the library? He was very suspicious. Think here. The librarian, looking down at the book again, completely ignored Li Xuan. Snapped. Hurrah! The librarian looked up blankly. A ray of sunlight fell from the sky and hit him directly on the head. A huge amounts of crack appeared above his head. The originally gorgeous roof of the library was split in half. In the middle, there is a huge crack almost 2 or 3 meters wide. On the crack, there are traces of melting, as if the building has been burned by high temperature. Library. It was split. Administrator. What's going on? A foreign enemy has invaded. The administrator suddenly stood up, wiped his hands, and the 2 shields appeared on his hands. This administrator. He is indeed a senior magician. The distance from the big magician is only a slight distance. Wrong. It's not an invasion by foreign enemies. The administrator reacted. Invasion from other places, where there is a fight, it will stop. He looked at it for a long time. Finally, they set their sights on Li Xuan, who looked embarrassed. You did this. Cough cough. Seems to be. Li Xuan said a little embarrassedly. This. I can't keep a low profile. On the first day of study, I split the library in half. This won't make him pay, will it? He really might not be able to afford it now. Who would have thought that this magic might be so powerful? Hacked the library all of a sudden. Li Xuan is very embarrassed now. The administrator was dumbfounded, and asked with a suspicious face. How did you do it? Just use this. Li Xuan stretched his hands, like ramen noodles, and a golden magic chain appeared in his hands. Magic chain. Are you kidding me? Can you use magic chains to split the library that has been reinforced by magic many times? Are you taking me for a fool? The librarian spoke. What magic is the magic chain? The most basic magic. The lethality is not high at all. Can this split the library? He doesn't believe it. Real. Li Xuan spoke very seriously. I don't believe it, give me a try. If you can split it, I'll take care of the library. If you have hidden any high power magic, I will definitely let you go to the big magician for trial. The administrator said coldly. Joke. Li Xuan. The magic chain, split the library. When he is a fool. This kid definitely learned the forbidden technique. Kamar Taj. Library. Li Xuan looked at the library in front of him. It was very difficult for him to ask. The library is already like this, he will send it again, okay. Ahem, Dozawa magician, isn't this bad? The opening of Li Xuan hesitation. What's wrong? If there is something, I will take care of it, and I won't believe it. Can you hack the library with magic chains? A sneer appeared on the corner of Doza's mouth. It's ridiculous. It was as ridiculous as someone telling him to split a mountain with a pencil knife. How can it be? He is not stupid. That's what you said. Li Xuan sighed helplessly. The golden chain in his hand was thrown out by him like a long whip. The golden chain, which was only half a meter long, suddenly became a huge chain tens of meters long. Snapped. There was a whip sound. Doors only saw. The roof of the library reinforced by magic runes is like butter cut by a red-hot knife. A trace of a cross appeared directly on the roof. Most of the roofs melted directly. Even low rocks on the ground were melted by lava. The rest of the roof also seemed to be melted by the high temperature. Crystalline melting traces appeared, and soon melted into crystals. Dozer. Falco. My god. Duo Z couldn't help scolding Guo Quintessence. Am I cute? What's happening here? He looked at Li Xuan, stretched out a finger, pointed at Li Xuan tremblingly, and then pointed tremblingly at the ruined roof. This. You. Ababa. Dazai was speechless for a moment. He wants to kill now. What the hell is going on? This is the so-called inability. The guy who hasn't started in 3 years. Is this a magic chain? Don't make fun of me. No ability is like this. What does the magic chain look like? This power can catch up with the supreme magic of Kamar Taj, the sacred sword of Waishandi. This is a library protected by magic runes. Specially designed to cope with the frequent earthquakes in Kamar Taj. A solid city, compared to the roof made by the forbidden technique, it is even worse. Incomparably strong. So broken now. Or dry broken with magic chains. Who told him that Li Xuan has no ability? No ability, what a ghost. The power of this magic is almost comparable to that of a big magician, okay. Many swallowed. Hee. Li Xuan, right. You boy, yes, I will remember you. Doze closed his eyes in pain. Everyone reminded him. Why doesn't he believe it? Why do you have to take this matter down? Internship magician is not responsible. But he is a senior magician, so he has to be responsible. In the past 2 years, he might have to eat dirt. The magician of Kamar Taj is not very rich. Dozer's face was full of grief. Who would have thought? This kid is so perverted. He is a magician apprentice. Doors, autistic. Who can tell me? What happened here? At this time, a solemn voice sounded. Li Xuan turned around. An 8-foot man walked in with Aldridge. If it wasn't for knowing this magician, he definitely believed that Aldridge was hijacked by bandits. Guan He magician, but a serious 8-foot man. Guan magician, something unexpected happened here. I experimented with magic and accidentally broke the library. Li Xuan said with a face full of Qianyi. He did it, and there was nothing wrong with admitting it. The big deal is compensation. Anyway, in the future, he will definitely become a strong man, and will he still be unable to pay? You broke the library. Xuan, don't make such a joke. Did this guy, Doors, force you? Guan He said seriously. Dozer. He doesn't know whether to be happy or to cry now. Where does he have such abilities? Guan He magician, I really think highly of him. Guan He, don't talk nonsense, I'm not that bad, and blamed an apprentice. Actually, This kid did it. He hit it with a magic chain. Doze said with a distorted face. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. He absolutely couldn't believe such an outrageous thing happened. But such an outrageous thing just happened. Listen, listen. Are you speaking human language? Are you throwing the pot away? Li Xuan destroyed the library with a magic chain. Is there such an outrageous thing? I don't know. Li Xuan only learned the portal 3 hours ago and became an intern magician. You mean to say that he has mastered a spell in 3 hours and practiced it to an astonishing level? And then make the library look like this? You said there are such outrageous things in this world. Guan He sneered. Joke. Let's not talk about whether Li Xuan has the ability to learn new magic. Can magic chains produce such destructive power? When he is mentally handicapped. The library is one of the strongest buildings in Kamar Taj, second only to the teleportation holy place. He needs to do his best to cause damage. This is separated by 2 levels. Can Li Xuan break through? Who are you fooling? I don't want to say that, but it's true. I didn't believe it before. Doze wants to cry but has no tears. He didn't believe in anyone before. As a result, all the days of the year had to be spent on today. If you don't believe me, just ask him. Just let him demonstrate it to you. Duo Z rolled his eyes and suddenly became enthusiastic. It's better to be alone than to be happy. Wrong. It is better to be unlucky together than to be unlucky alone. It's time to witness their friendship. Seeing Duo Z, Guan He said so confidently, and turned to look at Li Xuan. You did this. Just tell the truth, there is no need to be stressed. In Kamar Taj, there is Sorcerer Supreme, no one dares to bully others. Guan He opened his mouth. Li Xuan was a little helpless. Master Guan He, I really did this. I was not careful when I practiced magic, and I will be more careful in the future. Li Xuan said in embarrassment. You did it. I do not believe. Guan Hejuan opened his mouth and said. Opening a portal to the moon is fantasy enough. And now one of the strongest buildings in Kamar Taj has been destroyed with magical chains. What are you kidding? Novel dare not write like this. This is not in line with common sense. He doesn't believe it. Since you said you did it, show me. I don't believe it today. Guan He snorted coldly and said. Li Xuan was helpless. That's what you said. As soon as he stretched out his hand, a golden chain emerged. At the moment Li Xuan feels a little low-key. He really wants to keep a low profile. But strength really doesn't allow it. Library. Guan He sneered all over his face. Waiting for Li Xuan to make a move. He still doesn't believe it today. Can there be such an outrageous thing in this world? An intern magician, no matter how talented, is still an intern magician, and there are limits. It is impossible to use such a powerful attack. Ahem, Xuan, don't be nervous. It's all about shooting, if you need to bear any consequences. Let's see, the strength of your full shot. Doze winked at the side and said. Li Xuan rolled his eyes, sighed and said. Yes. As he spoke, he began to manipulate the magic in his hand. The tyrannical power began to emerge. Golden runes and sparks were constantly scattered from the magic chain in his hand. That is the natural energy that is constantly being assembled and scattered. Seeing Li Xuan using it like this, Guan He didn't take it seriously. It's such an awesome bragging, but its strength is not very good. How could it be so powerful? It's impossible. Guan He thought to himself. He felt he had seen the truth. Doors, the B******************** D, bullied the young magician. What a shame to the magician. Guan He was thinking about it. Snapped. There was a loud bang. He watched helplessly as the magic chain in Li Xuan's hand, which was originally only half a meter long, suddenly became thicker and longer. It suddenly turned into a powerful magic chain tens of meters long and as thick as a bucket. The runes carved on it are all clearly visible. The powerful energy emitted made Guan Yu feel frightened. Hulala. Puff. There was the sound of falling stones, the sound of melting rock cooling. Fake. 3 curses rang out. Guan He suddenly widened his eyes. Looking at the exposed sky, I was a little dazed. What just happened? He remembered. Li Xuan, a magic chain, directly vaporized the roof of the library. Is this reasonable? This is reasonable wool. How long is this? I just became an intern magician in just 3 hours. Can the magic be used to destroy the strongest building in Kamar Taj? Ababa. Guanhe suddenly didn't know what to say. Seeing Guanhe's expression, Duozi felt very happy. Let this dog not believe him, now he will be punished. But this kid is indeed a bit perverted. Is this still an intern magician? Casting a glance at Li Xuan calmly, Duozi couldn't help but rolled his eyes, and then said. It's not without good news. At least we don't have to fix the library roof. Dozer said with a smile. Good news. It is indeed good news. Guanhe said with a numb face. But in his heart he shouted crazily. Good news shit. The original library roof can still be repaired. Now in need of a complete rebuild. This kid is such a pervert. You just learned magic, but you can use magic so powerfully. Isn't this a pervert? Listen to people's advice and have a full meal. Guanhe finally knew what this sentence meant. Is he crazy? Why do you have to watch Li Xuan's demo? Believe that Doors is a bad dog. But this dog thing is a real dog. Obviously no. A few didn't even remind him. Guanhe wrote down this grudge. After rubbing his numb face, Guanhe forced a smile. Xuan, yes, you are very good. The power of this kind of magic has reached the level of an official magician. I believe that after a few more years of practice, you will be able to become an official magician. At that time, you will definitely become our youngest official magician in Kamar Taj. Guanhe said with a smile. Although the property he paid later made his heart ache, but Kamar Taj harvested a genius, which really made him extremely happy. Passing the torch from generation to generation is exactly the truth. Thank you, magician, for your encouragement. I will definitely work hard. Li Xuan said lightly. In fact, in his heart, he was a little disapproving. It's not that he doesn't take Guanhe seriously, but that Guanhe's magician misjudged his ability. Dr. Strange. After only 1 year of studying in Kamar Taj, he was able to fight back and forth with the betrayed great magician Caecilius. Why can't he? He is going to be the strongest in the world. If you can't even compare to Dr. Strange, how can you become the strongest? But he also knows. Now, he was so conscious that he had traveled to Kamar Taj. This is the Marvel Universe, one of the few pure lands. The Ancient One magician is under the circumstances. For hundreds of years, Caecilius was the only one who rebelled. Don't worry about ability leaks at all. It would be a disaster if it were changed elsewhere. In the Marvel world, there are a lot of mad scientists. Expose the ability, they will not talk to you well. So he was still very grateful to Guanhe and the others. Guanhe and the others naturally had no way of knowing what Li Xuan was thinking. Looking at the sunshine in the sky, Guanhe felt a little sad in his heart. The magician of Kamar Taj. Not rich. Although they are Earth Asgardians, their income is very limited. It is very troublesome if you can't expose your strength in front of outsiders and want to make money. Fortunately, they can use local materials. He shouldn't believe it. This kid Li Xuan is really perverted. But, if you cultivate it properly, you might be able to become the next big magician. Guanyu thought so. The training level of Li Xuan should be raised, give him more resources. Only in this way can talents be better developed. He pondered for a moment. Guanhe said. Aldridge, during this period of time, you put down the teaching work and let other magicians take over. During this time, you should focus on teaching Xuan. This is the time to lay the groundwork, and your teaching is very important. Yes, as it should be. Aldridge spoke. Guanhe nodded in satisfaction. Immediately, he looked at Li Xuan. Xuan, if you don't understand something, ask Aldridge. Although there is a lot of knowledge written in books, it is not specific after all. It's always shallow on paper. If you don't know the place, you have to ask Aldridge more. He's one of the best base magicians we've had in Kamar Taj. Even the big magician may not have a deeper understanding of the basics than him. You must learn from Aldridge. I hope, in a few years, we, Kamar Taj, will have another great magician. Guanhe spoke earnestly. Yes, I understand, Guanhe magician. Mr. Aldridge, please give me more guidance in the future. Li Xuan spoke very low-key. Okay. The corners of Aldridge's mouth rose wildly. Under his name, there will be one more big magician disciple. He can wake up with a smile even in his dreams. Kamar Taj has been very restless lately. After all, the library was all smashed up. That huge amounts of movement can be heard throughout Kamar Taj. If it wasn't for Sorcerer Supreme not traveling in the dimension of Kamar Taj, maybe her old man would be alarmed. But even so, it also caused an uproar in peaceful Kamar Taj. Facts have proved that even becoming a magician still cannot change the nature of people's gossip. Li Xuan, who was originally very low-key in Kamar Taj, suddenly became a man of the hour. Have you heard that Li Xuan, who was still an apprentice for 3 years, suddenly became a senior magician? Senior magician? Are you kidding me? Is that the movement can be made by my own magician? I think it is a big magician to say the least. You guys can pull it off. I took the class with Li Xuan, he is much more amazing than you. As Li Xuan walked on the road, he could feel a group of people staring at him. Although as a magician, the quality is quite high, but when he saw Li Xuan, he just smiled lightly. This still made Li Xuan a little dumbfounded. He really wants to keep a low profile. Why didn't these magicians give him a chance? Well, I knew I shouldn't have used magic in front of these magicians. Li Xuan couldn't help sighing. This world is so dangerous, he should keep a low profile. Maybe this is the trouble of being too good, no matter how low-key you can't be low-key. Li Xuan couldn't help sighing. Aldridge just came in from outside. Hearing this, the corner of his mouth twitched. Xindao. Young people nowadays are not as low-key as he was back then. Aldridge sighed in his heart. Li Xuan over there, Aldridge has been spotted. Mr. Aldridge, you are here. Kindness. How is it? How has it been consolidated in the past 2 days? Aldridge asked. Not bad. Li Xuan said lightly. Kamar Taj's magic is still very dangerous. Compared to the magicians of other worlds, transforming natural energies into their own. Most of Kamar Taj's magical powers were borrowed, and many, from Mephisto. If the power is not firmly grasped, and one runs away, then the person is gone. So these 2 days, Li Xuan did not learn new magic. Repeated summoning uses the 2 magics he has learned, so as to achieve the level of proficiency and ease of use. Now Li Xuan feels that even a great magician may not be as proficient in magic as he is. In this regard, Aldridge is very satisfied. As the saying goes, tall buildings rise from the ground. The foundation is very important, and every strong person cannot do without hard work. In this world, there has never been anything that gets something for nothing. Especially in the magical world, the easier it is to obtain, the more vigilant you must be. Aldridge spoke earnestly. Yes, I understand, Mr. Aldridge. Li Xuan said very low-key. Very good. Then let me see how you're progressing. Just the portal, try to see if you can teleport to the holy place in New York. Aldridge spoke. Kamar Taj, there are 3 holy places. Established on the 3 major magic power nodes on the earth, they have been guarding the earth. This is the Great Agamotto, the heritage relic, and the most powerful structure of their Kamar Taj. Even something as great as Sorcerer Supreme cannot replicate the powerful 3 holy places. Therefore, the holy place also has an amazing space protection ability. Inside, probably mortal dynamite would be able to blow it up. But outside, it takes amazing strength to break the holy place. This is still at the physical level, the more astonishing space protection of the holy place. This is a blockade that even big magicians cannot break through, and it is directly related to the source of magic power of the entire earth. Among Kamar Taj, only Sorcerer Supreme can forcibly break into the holy place from the outside. Even the big magician can't do it without permission. He sent Li Xuan to the holy place. It is to use the energy fluctuation index to check the level of Li Xuan's magical attainments. Yes. Li Xuan said something respectfully. Talking. Li Xuan started to use his ability. Powerful magical energy began to brew. Golden sparks began to emerge in midair. The fine runes began to be communicated by his spiritual power, and a large amount of energy began to emerge. He stretched out his hand and spun in midair. A golden portal began to be constructed by him. Aldridge was taken aback. This is wrong. How did this portal still take shape? What about the space protection of the holy place? Shouldn't the structure of this portal be destroyed? How so? Aldridge was dumbfounded. Holy place is very strong. The portal can't be opened at all. Under the action of the powerful source of magic power on the earth, unless the power is strong enough. But what's going on in front of you? Aldridge rubbed his eyes. Could it be that the protective power of the holy place has failed? Aldridge thought. He holds out his hand. The golden power in his hand began to change, and golden sparks began to slowly emerge. A portal began to slowly emerge. But it is different from Li Xuan's portal. Puff. There was a soft sound of the flame being extinguished. The golden portal he created was actually extinguished just like that. It seems that the magic protection of holy place is fine. Aldridge muttered something to himself. Then he suddenly turned his head to look at Li Xuan next to him. He could see it. The problem is not the magic holy place, but this guy Li Xuan. The same portal. Using it in his hands and using it in Li Xuan's hands is not the same thing at all. How did you do that? Aldridge spoke. How did you do that? Li Xuan asked a little puzzled. How did you break through the magic defense of the holy place and open the portal? Aldridge asked. Magic defense. What magic defense? Does holy place still have magic defense? Li Xuan said in surprise. He really doesn't know. In the movie, Caecilius killed all the magicians without much effort, and blew up the holy place by the way. Li Xuan has been complaining. Did not expect. Holy place still has magic defense. It's normal to think about it. After all, it is a powerful barrier that prevents Dormammu from invading, how can there be no defense? If Li Xuan's words were put in Aldridge's head, it would be completely different. He looked at Li Xuan, speechless to the extreme. A little want to cry but no tears. Is this the world of geniuses? The magic defense that he can't break through with all his strength. Does it not exist in other people's eyes? What kind of magical species is this? Ashram. Aldridge was dumbfounded. He felt that he needed to adjust his emotions. This kid is a pervert, and he can't explain it with common sense at all. This guy is so perverted, it's normal to be able to break through a little magic defense. Aldridge thought to himself. Gone. Reasonable wool. This is not the power that mortals should have at all. It took Aldridge a long time to accept this fact. Mr. Aldridge, is there something wrong with my magic? Li Xuan asked for advice very low-key. Although Li Xuan has the ability, he is a novice after all. He doesn't feel that his experience is comparable to Aldridge's magician. So he directly asked rather low-key. Hear this. Aldridge forced a smile on his face. No problem, you're doing really well. Although he knew that a normal person shouldn't break through the holy place's defense so easily, nor should it be so easy. But in a way, there is really nothing wrong with Li Xuan's magic. It's just a little perverted. Aldridge restrained the thoughts in his heart, and said. Xuan, you did a very good job. The magic of the portal, your level is no lower than mine. Although Aldridge feels that his level in this life may not be able to catch up with Li Xuan's level. But this is also true. Li Xuan over there also has no reference, so naturally he doesn't know this. He just spoke very quietly. Where, I still need to learn from you. Okay, there's no need to be so polite between us. Now that your mastery of the portal has reached this level, you can start practicing new magic again. A general magician's practice progress may not be suitable for you. You are a genius, so naturally you must have a genius way of cultivation. Aldridge Minas said very appreciatively. Mr. Aldridge praised me. I just worked a little harder. I'm not a genius. Li Xuan said in a low-key manner. Aldridge couldn't help but twitch his mouth. You really are not a genius. You are a pervert. Li Xuan didn't care about Aldridge's expression, but asked instead. Mr. Aldridge, Kamar Taj magician is endless. What spell do you think I should practice first? Aldridge nodded in satisfaction when he heard Li Xuan's question. In magic practice, the most taboo thing is to practice blindly. Even a genius may be in danger, and the probability of danger is higher. Li Xuan was very relieved to know that. Please call him Xuan. As the saying goes, tall buildings rise from the ground. Fundamentals are always the most important thing for a magician. I suggest you start practicing first, the Kamar Taj fighting technique. This is the beginning of fighting in our Kamar Taj lineage. It's a pity that Sorcerer Supreme and Mordu's magician are not in Kamar Taj, otherwise they should teach you in person. Aldridge said with a bit of regret. Hearing this, Li Xuan suddenly realized. Really? Kamar Taj is different from the biggest feature of traditional magicians. That is, they are all melee magicians. In their eyes, magic is not a powerful attack move, but like a weapon. Magic chains and magic shields are all magic created for progress. Like Sorcerer Supreme. Demonstrated just one spell and beat the shit out of Caecilius and his cultists. But is this reasonable? Say nothing else. If Ancient One is not strong enough, only 2 cultists are needed to put her in a life and death crisis. But it is not the case. Several cultists jointly controlled Ancient One, but Ancient One easily broke free. It can be seen how tyrannical her physical strength is. This, of course, has nothing to do with magic. It now appears that this is what the Kamar Taj fighting technique does. Li Xuan's eyes lit up, he also wanted to learn this. He bowed to Aldridge very low-key, and he spoke. I also asked Mr. Aldridge to explain my doubts. Aldridge stopped sighing, waved his hand and said. The Kamar Taj fighting technique is not complicated. It is said to be a fighting technique, but it is actually a way to temper one's own body by absorbing the natural power of other universes. Then cooperate with the corresponding combat training to improve your combat effectiveness. But you have to remember, it's really a long-term process, it's not a one-day job. You need to practice constantly to be able to practice it to a high level. According to the truth, there is no upper limit to this magic. Aldridge spoke very seriously. I see, Mr. Aldridge. Li Xuan also agreed very seriously. Okay, let me show you again, so you can learn. Aldridge spoke. With that said, he took a step back. The golden energy began to review that in the surrounding space. It's like a firefly. These golden energies directly emerged from the unknown space and submerged into Aldridge's body. A strange scene appeared. Aldridge's body seemed to become transparent, and a golden galaxy emerged in his body, moving slowly. Keep in mind the running route of energy. Let the energy in the natural universe penetrate constantly and nourish your body. Remember, don't overdo it all at once, or your body may not be able to bear it. It lasted for a moment. Seeing Li Xuan write down the route, Aldridge returned to normal. Okay, Xuan, now it's your turn to try. Don't worry, although this spell is difficult, it usually takes a few days to get started. Aldridge spoke. Ding. It is detected that the host is learning Kamar Taj fighting technique, and the god-level ability produces a critical strike. You have mastered the Kamar Taj fighting technique. The system's prompt sound fell from Li Xuan's mind. A smile appeared on the corner of Li Xuan's mouth. I also asked Aldridge Magician for advice. Li Xuan said something. It began to stimulate the magical power in the body. Golden light spots began to emerge from the void. Aldridge. He hasn't finished yet. Genius is so perverted. Kamar Taj fighting technique is really not some complicated magic. Getting started is not easy. Even among many magics, it is still complicated. Because he needs to control the movement of cosmic energy in the body. There are certain risks, so be careful. If you lose your mind a little bit, you will fail. So this magic often takes a few days, or even months, to slowly adapt and manipulate more power. But Li Xuan learned it in the blink of an eye. Is this the world of geniuses? Aldridge simply could not understand. Ashram. Aldridge looked at Li Xuan in front of him, his eyes full of sighs. This kid is really a genius. Fighting technique is such a difficult magic to get into. Getting started in the blink of an eye. How long has it been since Kamar Taj had this kind of talent? The last one with such an ability is probably the great magician Caecilius. In a way, Li Xuan's ability is probably even more amazing than Caecilius's magician. Kamar Taj fighting technique. A very fine manipulation of energy is required. Very few people can achieve this amazing level. Li Xuan did it. This kid is really a freak. With such a powerful ability, I am afraid that in the future, I, Kamar Taj, will produce another big magician. Aldridge sighed. Aldridge was overjoyed. Kamar Taj hasn't had another big magician in a long time. Now it seems. Li Xuan is next. Aldridge looked at Li Xuan in front of him with surprise. But, watch and watch. Aldridge's face immediately changed. What's happening here? What is Xuan doing? Why doesn't he stop? Aldridge's face became extremely ugly. He suddenly found out. Li Xuan was astonished and did not intend to stop at all. There is more and more cosmic energy around you. Golden dots are lit. Li Xuan's body was reflected as if it was a bit transparent. In his body, it seems that there is an extra galaxy, exuding golden energy radiance. Aldridge is going crazy. He had warned Li Xuan a long time ago. Be careful when practicing for the first time. Why should Kamar Taj fighting technique be practiced slowly and step by step? Because the human body is very fragile. Your brain, your internal organs, are extremely fragile. Maybe a careless, a little vibration of energy. It will cause irreversible damage to the internal fragile organs of the body. Maybe there will be life-threatening. Now the energy gathered around Li Xuan has long exceeded the limit that a magician's body can bear. Aldridge's face was full of anxiety. What's the matter with this kid? I told him to be careful, but what's going on now? Gathering so much energy at once, wouldn't you want to explode and die? How can the body of an ordinary person withstand so much energy? Aldridge was heartbroken. Powerful energy poured into the ordinary body. That's like blowing up a balloon. If the energy exceeds, the fate can be imagined. Li Xuan will be like a watermelon thrown from a 100-story building. Even Sorcerer Supreme can't save it. I told him to proceed step by step, step by step. Why doesn't this kid listen? Aldridge couldn't help sighing. Unfortunately. To this. There was nothing he could do about it. He doesn't dare to make a sound now. I was afraid to disturb Li Xuan. Kamar Taj fighting technique is a very delicate operation. Every inch of the body, every trace of energy needs to be manipulated in a subtle way. One is wrong, that is the situation where the energy runs wild and the body explodes. Aldridge looked at Li Xuan very nervously. But found out. Not only did this kid not intend to stop, but he intensified a bit. The surrounding energy is increasing. The energy absorbed from the universe has even reached the point of condensing into substance. Aldridge could even feel the surrounding energy condensing into a faint mist. This is just the energy dissipated outside, not the energy absorbed into Li Xuan's body. But, looking at the energy outside, one can see how amazing the power inside Li Xuan's body is at this moment. Generally speaking, the energy in Li Xuan's body is dozens of times that of the outside. But now, Aldridge had no choice but to pray constantly in his heart. I hope Li Xuan will never have any problems. Even because of being too nervous, his forehead began to sweat. Staring at the flashing golden stars in Li Xuan's body, Aldridge didn't dare to take a breath. Just like that, half an hour passed. Aldridge didn't even dare to wipe off his sweat. As time goes by slowly, the golden energy in Li Xuan's body began to slowly dim. Most of the escaping energy around him was also absorbed by him. At this time, Aldridge took a deep breath. Looking at Li Xuan, the expression on his face became a little horrified. After his calculations, such a short time, the energy absorbed by Li Xuan is probably comparable to the power inside a big magician's body. There is a world of difference between an intern magician and a big magician. Big magician can kill dozens of intern magicians with one hand. But now, Li Xuan has absorbed all the energy equivalent to a big magician. What's even more frightening is that this guy hasn't exploded yet. Isn't this kid too perverted? Aldridge thought in his heart in shock. Click. Aldridge looked down. The floor made of marble and strengthened with elementary level runes is broken at this moment. A footprint on the ground, surrounded by cracks. Aldridge gasped. What a power. Even with all his strength, he was able to trample on the floor. Li Xuan did it by accident. Just to what extent is this kid's body strengthening? Xuan, how do you feel now? Aldridge said with concern. Li Xuan clenched his fist. There was a rattling sound. I feel really good now, the strength has increased several times. Mr. Aldridge, this Kamar Taj fighting technique is also amazing. It actually increased so much power at once. Li Xuan said with a face full of surprise. Heart. No wonder Kamar Taj is a melee magician, who can use magic to increase such a powerful force. He felt now that if he punched down, he might be able to blow up the tank. Aldridge couldn't help but twitch his mouth when he heard this. Question mark question mark question mark. How many times the power has been increased? Why hasn't he heard that the first practice of Kamar Taj fighting technique has this effect? Most people can at most improve their physical fitness. Strengthening one's own physical strength requires years of continuous effort. It takes a few years, more than 10 years for others to reach the level, and you have reached the level after practicing once. And the effect is better than others. This is genius. This is abnormal. Aldridge couldn't help complaining crazily in his heart. This kid is too perverted. Taking a deep breath, Aldridge barely adjusted his emotions. Can you feel how powerful you are? Let's experiment. You may have created a new history of Kamar Taj. Aldridge said with a complex expression. Inside the practice room. Li Xuan felt the powerful force in his body and felt a little emotional. Kamar Taj's magic is truly magical. The god-level ability is also powerful enough. Ordinary people say that they don't know how long it takes to practice magic, but they can learn it in the blink of an eye. The point is, it's still so powerful. Li Xuan doesn't even know how powerful he is now. The mighty power startled him a little. Mr. Aldridge, why don't we experiment in another place? I think my strength is a bit big. Li Xuan said with emotion. Hear this. Aldridge didn't care. Powerful. How strong can it be? The practice room is specially reinforced. Certainly not as good as a library. But fighting technique is not a magic chain either. Fighting technique is not offensive magic at all, but auxiliary magic, which is used to make them better exert the power of various powerful magic. Li Xuan strengthened her body only once. How strong can it be? He's not a big magician. According to his estimation, his several times increase in strength is equivalent to an official magician. Destroying the floor can. But destroying the entire training room is just a joke. There are very powerful runes engraved in it. He, a magician who is close to a senior magician, can't do it. He didn't believe that Li Xuan could do it. Li Xuan heard Aldridge say this. Think about it too. Although he felt that he was powerful, he didn't know to what extent. After the strength soars, it is easy to have illusions. Since Aldridge said so confidently, there is nothing wrong with thinking about it. Mr. Aldridge, how should I test? Li Xuan asked. It's very simple, we have special testing equipment. Aldridge pressed aside. There was a mechanical sound from the wall, and the shot on one side parted from the other. A huge amounts of machine with rubber pads was pushed out of the wall. Aldridge looked smug. Xuan, we are not primitive people. The equipment made by ordinary people is very valuable. This is our custom-made strength testing equipment, which can withstand a force impact of up to 300,000 cattle. Absolutely enough. Aldridge spoke. What is the concept of 300,000 cattle? A large truck weighing 30 tons, driving to 100 meters per square meter per second, produces an impact. If a tank bears such huge amounts of impact, shapeshifting will probably occur. A senior magician who has cultivated to the peak physically does not have this kind of power. Even if Li Xuan is practicing for the first time, no matter how powerful he is, this kind of equipment is enough. Okay, don't worry, go all out. Try what your current strength is. Aldridge spoke with great anticipation. Li Xuan's performance is really amazing. The first time I practiced, I actually absorbed so much natural energy. He is looking forward to how far Li Xuan's body can be strengthened. Li Xuan is also looking forward to it. He also wanted to know to what extent his physical body was strengthening. Take a deep breath. Li Xuan made a step forward. Click. His surroundings were directly smashed because of Li Xuan's powerful force. Within a range of 10 meters, everything collapsed directly. Aldridge looked shocked. He hadn't had time to react yet. Li Xuan has already swung out with one punch. A white circle appeared in the air. That's because his fist directly exceeded the speed of sound, producing a sonic boom. A piercing hiss sounded. Aldridge didn't respond. Li Xuan swung his fist directly. Time seemed to slow down. Aldridge could see it clearly. The equipment, which claimed to be able to withstand the impact of 300,000 cattle, suddenly burst open. Not only that, the tyrannical force directly pushed the device outwards. Boom. A huge amounts of pothole appeared directly in the wall. No. It should be said that a wall disappeared directly and was blown away by Li Xuan's powerful force. The equipment and the half-meter thick wall that were blown away by the force directly hit the mountain behind. Boom. The mountain suddenly sank down, and a huge amounts of pothole appeared directly. The broken stones on the mountain constantly slid down from the mountain. Huge amounts of cracks wind their way up the mountain. Gudong. Aldridge couldn't help swallowing. Fortunately, the practice room is next to the mountain. Otherwise, with such a punch, I am afraid that half of Kamar Taj will be pierced. This power. Is it really something that a guy practicing the Kamar Taj fighting technique for the first time can use? Aldridge's face twitched constantly. What kind of evil did you do? Why can't I think about it again and again? Knowing that this kid is a pervert. Why did he let this kid do it? This guy. His 1-year magician allowance is probably gone. Aldridge scratched his hair in pain. He will let Li Xuan experiment with magic in the future, he is a dog. Li Xuan was also a little surprised to see the strength of his punch. This kind of power is probably comparable to that of ordinary Asgard warriors. He also felt that he hadn't done his best. But then Li Xuan became a little embarrassed. You won't let him pay, will you? If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have to use so much effort. A few days of work. He destroyed 2 ancient buildings in Kamar Taj. If it were an ordinary person, he would have been detained long ago. Cough cough. Mr. Aldridge, shouldn't I need compensation for this? Li Xuan said in embarrassment. Aldridge's face twitched, and his heart was aching. Unnecessary. Aldridge said in pain. It's fine if you don't need it. Mr. Aldridge, why do you look a little ugly? Li Xuan said. I'm fine, I'm just a little happy. You're doing really well. This kind of power is no less than that of ordinary senior magicians. If your magic power can meet the standard, maybe it is really the fastest promotion to senior magician in our Kamar Taj history. Aldridge spoke. Where is it? I still need to practice hard. Li Xuan said very low-key. You're still young. Having this kind of strength is already very good. Aldridge spoke. This is not bad. It's very perverted. At the same age as Li Xuan, how can there be such a perverted existence? Kamar Taj fighting technique, but there is no upper limit. You can become so powerful the first time you practice. Can I get it later? Wouldn't it be necessary to use the flesh to resist magic in the future? Aldridge looked at Li Xuan, and felt more and more that this kid's future was limitless. This kid is a complete freak. The sound of half of the mountain wall almost collapsing was not small. This gigantic sound can be heard throughout Kamar Taj. Naturally, Guanhe and the others could also hear it. And before hearing that huge amounts of sound, Guanhe sat on the chair like a good baby. The tall man of 1.8 meters looked a little aggrieved. The chair barely let go of him. And in front of him, sat a strong middle-aged man. It looks like a fat body, but it contains huge amounts of strength. It is one of the great magicians guarded by Kamar Taj, the king. Although Wang is not a disciple of Kamar Taj, he is also an old magician who has stayed in Kamar Taj for an unknown number of years. His ancestors were a member of Kamar Taj. Wang naturally also accepted the inheritance, and his strength is not weak. At least Guanhe didn't dare to act presumptuously in front of the king. There are not many existences like Doctor Strange who dare to be naughty in front of the king. Although Wang is not a serious person, his unsmiling face is enough to make many magicians shudder. Guanhe, is what you said true? We Kamar Taj, once again a talent with great magician talent. Wang said very seriously. With that serious expression, Guanhe became nervous for a while. That's right, big magician. We have another genius in Kamar Taj. It's Li Xuan. Li Xuan. Wang Wei frowned invisibly. I remember, this kid hasn't become an intern magician for 3 years, right? You said he was a genius. Wang was a little confused. If he didn't know that Guanhe wasn't just talking about it, he would have kicked this guy out a long time ago. He has heard of Li Xuan's reputation. Haven't been an intern magician for 3 years. To put it bluntly, with this kind of ability, you can at most be an official magician in this life, and this is still under the condition of hard work. Can such a magician be called a genius? Wang looked at Guanhe very seriously, hoping that he could give a reasonable explanation. Big magician, what I said is true. Li Xuan is nothing but a blockbuster. The kid is a real genius. Guanhe said. There is no evidence for what you say. Wang said lightly. Big magician, I definitely have proof. Do you remember what happened in the library a few days ago? Guanhe said. No. You and Dozer will pay the allowance for the next 3 years to restore the Great Library, and you will also have to carve the runes yourself. Wang said with a blank face. Guanhe. Are you polite? If the person sitting in front of him is not a big magician, he really wants to give him a big piece. Which pot is not open and which pot to lift? Thinking of this made his heart ache. He can accept the 3-year allowance. Drawing runes can be a real chore. What a fool he is. Why question a genius? Taking a deep breath, Guanhe calmed down his emotions. Big magician, I know this. But that's not what I want to say, but do you know who destroyed the library? Guanhe said mysteriously. You're not going to tell me that Li Xuan did it, are you? Wang said with a blank face. You are right, it is Li Xuan. Off the river. This joke is not funny. The building of the library can be destroyed by an intern magician. Wang said seriously. Joke. The library, but the most important building, is so strong that even ordinary magicians can't destroy it. Internship magician ruined. How can it be? Big magician, it's true, I don't need to joke about this kind of thing. Dozer, Alfred and I saw it with our own eyes. If Li Xuan didn't do it, do you think Duos and I were crazy to destroy the library? Guanhe said. That's not necessarily true. The conflict between you and Doors is well known. So far, Doris magician is still guarding the dimensional space and not returning to Kamar Taj. This is all because of the two of you. Wang said with a blank face. Guanhe took a deep breath. If it wasn't a big magician in front of him, if it wasn't for him, he couldn't beat it. He decided to let Wang know why the flowers are so popular today. Taking another deep breath, Guanhe spoke. I'm also afraid that you won't believe me, so we have already prepared. Guanhe took out his mobile phone with his backhand and showed Wang a few pictures. Big magician, please see, there's no need for us to help you cheat, right? Wang picked up the phone, didn't care at first, and took a look. The expression on his face became more serious. In the picture, Li Xuan directly smashed the roof of the library with the magic chain in his hand. How is this possible? Wang couldn't help frowning and said. Are you kidding me? Internship magician is fine. If some kind of powerful forbidden spell is used, it is not impossible to erupt powerful power. But an intern magician used magic chains to split the library open. This is also a bit too fantasy. Magic chains, a magic without any power, also have this kind of power. If it is replaced by Sorcerer Supreme, there is no problem. But Li Xuan is just an intern magician. Are you sure it's true? You're not lying to me. Wang said. Big magician, stop joking. How did we join forces to deceive you? I can guarantee with my life that what I say is true. Guanhe opened his mouth and said swearingly. If it's true, then this kid is really a genius. Wang said with a blank face. In fact, his heart was far less calm than he showed. He does remember. When he was a magician apprentice, he was not so powerful. Don't say you are so strong. He felt that he didn't even have 1/10 of others. Even Caecilius, the disciple of Sorcerer Supreme, didn't have this ability back then. Practicing magician has this power. It is indeed a bit outrageous. No, I'm going to see for myself. This kind of genius should be taught by Sorcerer Supreme himself. Wang said. Among Kamar Taj, Ancient One's status is supreme, but also very approachable. Often teach apprentices with fellow magicians. Even Modu and the others will personally teach the students. But, the more ability one has in nature, the better one is taught. If Li Xuan really has a powerful ability, it is absolutely impossible for him to let Li Xuan delay his ability. Boom. There was a loud bang. There was a tremor all around. Dust was constantly falling on the roof. What's going on? Has someone invaded my Kamar Taj? Wang suddenly stood up. A powerful aura erupted from his body. Shocked by this momentum, Guanhe sat down again, his face flushed. Big magician. So awesome. Big magician. It is Kamar Taj's strongest big shot besides Ancient One. How strong is the big magician? Take the king as an example, his combat power is comparable to that of Thanos's General Obsidian. Black Dwarf, one of the 5 generals of Obsidian, had an arm broken by the king using the portal. But the king knows more than one kind of magic. He is the great magician who has mastered most of Kamar Taj's magic. Doctor Strange answered, he would most of the time. Using these powerful spells, his strength will be greatly enhanced. Among the Avengers, they can be regarded as the #1 combat power. Now, once he burst out with power, it was really amazing. Great magician, Kamartaj is unlikely to be invaded by foreign enemies. I guess something else must have happened. Guan He said while wiping his sweat. Makes sense. Wang thought for a while and said. For hundreds of years, Kamartaj has dealt with a lot of evil beings, all kinds of evil gods, the existence of hell, they have provoked them all over again. Might be able to reach Kamartaj. One doesn't. Certainly no one will be able to call in now. Come on, let's go see what happened. Wang opened his mouth and said something. With that said, Wang walked out straight away. The two asked as they walked, and soon found the source of the sound. It is a practice room built next to the mountain wall. Who is practicing in the training room today? Wang asked. The practice room is not always used. It will only be activated every once in a while when the magicians are preaching. Or it is used by a few magicians for training. Wang has this question. Looks like Li Xuan and Aldrich. Guan He wiped the sweat from his forehead, and said. He had an ominous premonition. Looking at the mountain wall full of cracks, why does he feel that this style is a bit familiar? Aldrich certainly couldn't make such a big commotion. Wang is obviously aware of this. There was a rare other expression on his face. Interesting. Come on, let's go in and have a look. Talking. Wang took Guan He directly into the practice room. In the training room, Aldrich is reprimanding Li Xuan. Do you know how dangerous it was just now? But if your power vibrates a little bit, you would have died just now, do you know that? You will explode and die, and you will become a pile of rotten meat, with no bones left. Aldrich spoke in fear after a while. I know you are a genius, but don't make fun of your own life. Otherwise your ability is useless at all. Do you understand it? Aldrich spoke earnestly. I know, Mr. Aldrich. I'll be more careful next time. Li Xuan said honestly. He naturally knew that Aldrich was doing it for his own good. He doesn't know the power of the god-level ability, and it's normal to feel dangerous. All adults. How rare is it that someone treats you well without expecting anything in return? Li Xuan is not ignorant of good and evil. While two people are talking, Wang led Guan He in from the outside. Aldrich immediately sensed Wang's arrival. Big magician, Guan magician, why are you here? Aldrich went up and saluted respectfully. Li Xuan also obeyed honestly. You make such a big commotion, can we not come? Guan He rolled his eyes and said. Guan He magician, you know, I'm not someone who likes to cause trouble, I didn't make this happen. Big magician, it's right here, don't slander me. Aldrich spoke. Wang Ke didn't care about the exchange of feelings between the two magicians. He looked directly at Wang. Being watched by Wang, Li Xuan felt a thump in his heart at that time, feeling a kind of mental pressure. But this pressure comes and goes quickly. Obviously Wang accidentally emitted it. Li Xuan thought to himself, Wang is so powerful. As expected of a person called a great magician. His mind is flowing here. The king over there also spoke. Are you Xuan? You made this. An embarrassed look appeared on Li Xuan's face. It's me. Practicing magic, I don't have enough control over my own power. Li Xuan is very honest. This power has increased so much all of a sudden, it will naturally take a while to get used to it. Oh. It turned out to be caused by practicing new magic. There was a look of interest on Wang's face. He also thought that Li Xuan had experimented with some powerful magic that he had mastered for a long time to exert such power. Half of the mountain was almost collapsed. This kind of power cannot be achieved by ordinary magic. Unexpectedly, it turned out that Li Xuan did it by practicing new magic. This kid is really a genius. Wang thought to himself. What kind of magic did you practice just now? Wang hurriedly asked again. I thought. Did this kid learn some powerful magic? Could it be Bosat's thunder that could have such destructive power? Kamar Taj fighting technique. Li Xuan said honestly. King. What the hell? Wang suspected that he had an auditory hallucination just now, and his expressionless face twitched. As long as Li Xuan said a powerful magic just now, he would not be so surprised. But Kamar Taj fighting technique, what is that magic? Kamar Taj is the most basic magic to temper the body. If you say that Li Xuan has practiced for a long time, he can bear it. If it were him, he would be able to cause this kind of damage with his body. But Li Xuan was practicing this kind of magic for the first time. It is the first time to practice Kamar Taj fighting technique, and the increase is indeed the highest. After all, the magician's body was very fragile at the beginning. But, limited by the body's original tolerance level, it is impossible for a magician to strengthen much in his first practice. Li Xuan told him. This is the first time he practiced the Kamar Taj fighting technique to make a movement. What about cheating ghosts? Are you kidding me? Wang returned to his expressionless state again, and asked. I'll tell him this. Big magician, this kid has really reached the limit, this is just an ordinary magic. Wouldn't it destroy the world if he practiced those powerful magics? This guy is also lucky. Listen to what you say. Wang is full of disbelief. Leaving aside the king, what are the realities of these two people? Just talk about their stuff, why are you so arrogant? Wang couldn't help scratching his head. There is such a big difference in power between different magics. How did he use ordinary magic to release such a strange and powerful force? Is this the horror of genius? He had also seen geniuses back then. Not like this at all. Could it be that he has little knowledge? Is this genius better? Ashram. Same as Aldrich. Even Wang claims to be well informed. He was still a little shocked by Li Xuan. This kid is unusual. But, after all, Wang is a great magician, so he quickly regained his composure. Yes, Li Xuan, you are very nice. Your ability is very rare in my new generation of Kamar Taj. I am very optimistic about you. You have the talent of a great magician. Wang patted Li Xuan on the shoulder very satisfied. Even with Li Xuan's current strength, his body sank immediately after being photographed. The big magician praised it. Li Xuan could only force a smile. Why does he feel that these words are not good at all? The last one who had the qualifications of a great emperor died a miserable death. Li Xuan feels that he prefers to keep a low profile. I think so, Xuan will definitely become a great magician in the future. Aldridge next to him said with a blushing face. Hearing this, Li Xuan couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. Good guy. Flag stood up. Fortunately, Wang didn't dwell on this topic for too long. Boy, let me see your strength. Since you can cause so much damage, you must have made great progress. Let me see how much progress you have made. Wang looked at Li Xuan and said. He now believes that Li Xuan is a peerless genius. But, he wanted to confirm just how talented he was. Logically speaking, fighting technique practice for the first time, the effect is good. The higher the ability is. Wang really wanted to know how far Li Xuan could go. If it is possible, he will introduce Li Xuan to Sorcerer Supreme, who will teach her personally. What Wang didn't expect was. Li Xuan smiled embarrassedly, blinked and said. Big magician, isn't this bad? The practice room has already broken down like this. Li Xuan smiled wryly. In the past 2 days, he has caused huge amounts of economic losses to Kamar Taj. If this continues, several teachers may go bankrupt. Hear this. Wang smiled confidently and said. It's okay, I'm here, you can rest assured. You shoot with all your strength, I can cover it. If you shoot at the mountain wall, I will naturally be able to protect my Kamar Taj. When talking, Wang put his hands behind his back, which really has the air of a master. Li Xuan thinks. If Wang is more good-looking, it would be no problem for him to play a guest role in Sorcerer Supreme. In that case, I would like to ask the big magician to comment. Li Xuan cupped his hands respectfully, with excitement in his eyes. He didn't enjoy himself before, and he didn't give his best. Now that the king is here, he finally has a chance to use his full strength. Now, the powerful cosmic energy absorbed in his body has been completely digested. His current strength. It will only be stronger than before. Li Xuan closed his eyes and began to use his mental power to perceive all the muscles in his body. In the body, every inch of strengthened muscle is mobilized. Next moment, Li Xuan has perfectly mastered his power. Without any time to adapt, he mastered the power of skyrocketing. This is a god-level ability. Li Xuan took a posture one by one, and every muscle in his body was mobilized. From feet, legs, to waist, arms. His muscles are perfectly matched. His way of exerting force is the most scientific. Under the effect of his ability, his body adjusted to a posture where he could exert his most powerful strength. For a moment, every muscle in his body seemed to come to life. Ding! It has been detected that you are using Kamar Taj fighting technique. Your understanding of Kamar Taj fighting technique has been doubled. Your God-level ability produces critical strikes, and your Kamar Taj fighting technique has evolved. Your Kamar Taj fighting technique evolves into Kangyuan body training tips. The system's prompt sounded from his mind. The golden light lit up around him again. But, this time there's more than just a golden glow. Purple, blue, black, energies of various colors floated beside Li Xuan. Then it was absorbed and smelted by his body. Now, his body, like a black hole, swallowed up the surrounding energy, and even absorbed the power from the dimension. And it is completely devoured. Use it for yourself. It is completely different from Kamar Taj fighting technique. What's this? Can Kamar Taj fighting technique be practiced like this? Although Aldridge couldn't understand what it was, he was greatly shocked. Kamar Taj fighting technique, when can I absorb other energy? Compared to Aldridge, Wang is even more excited. There was an expression of excitement on his incomparably ancient face, and the hands behind him were trembling even more. How rare is this for a king? It can be seen how shocked he is now. Wang looked higher. So he knows what that means. This is a technique reform. Bring out the old and bring forth the new. Transform the original powerful magic to construct a more powerful magic. This kid's ability is stronger than he thought. In history, magicians who were able to do this, without exception, have become legends. This kid has the talent of a legendary magician. Thinking of this, the king's eyes became expectant. At this time, Li Xuan made a move. His fist turned into a phantom, like lightning, and hit the wooden stake in front of him suddenly. Boom! There was a crackling sound in the air. It was as if a bomb had exploded in front of them. In the air, a white mist suddenly appeared. This is the moisture in the air, which is directly squeezed and condensed into water mist. The wooden stake in front of him was directly shape-shifted, and exploded into powders less than 1 millimeter in size. It's not over yet. The air in front of him was compressed to the extreme. Then, like a cannon, Li Xuan directly shot him out. Boom! The mountain peak, which was originally full of cracks, couldn't support it at all at this moment. The mountain with a height of more than 100 meters collapsed after being punched by Li Xuan. Not good. Wang's complexion also changed drastically. Wang. Landslide. If the mountain were to slide down, half of Kamar Taj would be submerged. Wang almost wanted to slap himself at this moment. It's okay to pretend. This kid is no normal person. His lips trembled a little, both shocked and annoyed. But, now is not the time to think about these things. He just turned his hands around. A portal with a height of hundreds of meters was directly formed. The landslide, like a river bursting its embankment, rushed directly into the huge amounts of portal, and disappeared here. After a while, half of the small hills disappeared immediately. The slide from the mountain is over. Wang looked at the remaining peaks that looked like dogs had eaten them. The corner of his mouth couldn't help twitching. This kid. What a freak. Wang is a very calm person. After all, he is a man who can laugh tens of seconds after hearing a joke. Even in the face of Ancient One, you can take that private card. But today, facing Li Xuan, Wang has changed his face more than once. It can be seen how deeply Li Xuan shocked him. After calming down his mood, Wang patted Li Xuan on the shoulder. Xuan, you are good, very good. We Kamar Taj, it's been a long time since we had a genius like you. I am very optimistic about your development. Wang patted Li Xuan's shoulder and said. The big magician praised it. Li Xuan spoke very low-key. However, Xuan, in the future, you should stop experimenting with magic in our Kamar Taj. We Kamar Taj are not very rich. Wang sighed and said. Glancing at the poor mountain wall in front of him, Wang couldn't help but sigh again. This mountain wall is okay, after all, it is a natural product. But this practice room, library, and restoration all cost money. Money is still secondary, and they are not without income channels. The key is to carve runes in buildings, which requires a variety of precious materials, which are not easy to obtain. This kid Li Xuan is really too perverted. The power is getting stronger and stronger, and I am afraid that the entire Kamar Taj will not be able to bear it if this continues. If this continues, Kamar Taj will go bankrupt. Can't let Li Xuan go on like this. Aldridge, I give you permission to teach Li Xuan the mirror dimension. In the future, magic experiments will be carried out in the mirror dimension. Wang said. Mirror dimensions are already high-level magic. Very dangerous for low-level magicians. Like a mirror dimension. Unless it exists like the Sorcerer Supreme Magician, without the sling ring, it is impossible to enter and exit the mirror dimension. If the sling ring is lost, it will be very dangerous for ordinary people. But, Wang thinks, with a genius like Li Xuan, there is no problem in cultivating this powerful magic. For the magic to be experimented in the future, it is better to experiment with magic in the mirror dimension. Yes, Aldridge said excitedly. At the same time, Aldridge blinked wildly at Li Xuan. This made Li Xuan a little baffled. But, these few magicians did not answer Li Xuan's confusion. Okay, you guys are responsible for repairing this place. Let Li Xuan practice well. When Sorcerer Supreme returns, I will introduce it to Sorcerer Supreme. Maybe Li Xuan can be personally taught by Sorcerer Supreme. Wang said. Thank you, big magician. Li Xuan said respectfully. That's Sorcerer Supreme. Don't say anything else. The magic that Sorcerer Supreme knows is completely beyond the imagination of ordinary people. At least in the library, there are a lot of books, all of which are magic that ordinary magicians can't understand. Seeing Li Xuan's attitude, Wang nodded in satisfaction. Okay, let's practice on your own. I have other things to attend to. Wang said something. After taking a deep look at Li Xuan, he turned and left. It was the man who saw them off for a while, then turned around and came back. Guanhe glanced at the two of them. Aldridge, you continue to teach the text, I will find someone to repair the building. Guanhe said something and turned to leave. Wait until Guanhe turns and leaves. Aldridge patted Li Xuan's shoulder excitedly. Good guy, good. You have been recognized by our great magician, and your future is boundless. I knew, you kid, you must be extraordinary. Aldridge nodded in satisfaction. Thank you, Mr. Aldridge, for your teaching. But you actually know how to mirror dimensions. Li Xuan glanced at Aldridge in surprise. In the movie, the mirror dimension is definitely high-level magic, and is even able to harness the mighty power of the Dark Lord Dormammu. In Kamar Taj, it's definitely high magic. In the movie, only a few people will use it. Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange, Caecilius, Mordo, and even King have not shown the ability to use the corresponding magic. However, reality is not a movie. In reality, an existence of the level of a great magician will naturally have this kind of magic. But Aldridge, this magician can do it. This surprised Li Xuan a bit. HMPH, underestimate me, don't you? Your teacher and I were also famous in Kamar Taj. Do you think that everyone is qualified to teach students? Aldridge said triumphantly. Li Xuan thought about it. Indeed. The power of Kamar Taj is simply wonderful. Sorcerer Supreme himself went off to teach the students. How is an ordinary magician qualified to teach students? Aldridge has a bit of background, which is also very normal. But it doesn't matter. What he fancy is the new magic. The more powerful the teacher, the more magic he knows. Mr. Aldridge, when can I learn the mirror dimension? Li Xuan spoke with great anticipation. The mirror dimension is a very powerful force. After the power is strong enough, you can even bend reality with the power of mirror dimensions. After Caecilius got the power of Dormammu, he used to rely on this power to manipulate the real space. One can imagine how powerful this magic is. Not to mention, the mirror dimension can also be used for monitoring, cultivation, etc., and can even transform attacks. If the portal is the basis of Kamar Taj space magic, the mirror dimension is definitely the most advanced magic, and it is also the embodiment of Kamar Taj space power. Li Xuan is naturally looking forward to this. Aldridge glanced at Li Xuan. Don't worry, I will definitely give it to you. We Kamar Taj can't stand you experimenting with magic like this. Aldridge spoke. Li Xuan scratched her head in embarrassment. After you get used to your own power, I can give you new magic. If I'm not mistaken, you should have activated the Kamar Taj fighting technique before, increasing your strength again. Aldridge looked at Li Xuan in surprise. Li Xuan just nodded. So, you should adapt to your own strength first. In a few days, we will learn new magic. You need to adapt to your own strength, otherwise there will be big problems. Aldridge spoke. Li Xuan nodded. Aldridge looked at Li Xuan in surprise. This kid. What a surprise. The Kamar Taj fighting technique urged by Li Xuan just now is obviously unusual. This is not something ordinary people can do. This kid is really amazing. This kid has the talent of a great magician. Butterflies far away on the African continent flap their wings. It is possible to produce a staged storm in distant North America. This is called the butterfly effect. Li Xuan has been in Kamar Taj after crossing. But his mighty strength still had the butterfly effect. This butterfly effect, this world has had an impact. Now, New York. Within a block. A big battle happened right here. A big man over 2 meters tall roared wildly in the street. Opposite him, there is another guy who is not only not inferior in size, but also looks even more ferocious. If Li Xuan was here, he would definitely be able to recognize him at a glance. This is the Hulk and his sworn enemy, the Abomination. Why do you have such power? You're nothing but a loser. You are just a weak person, not worthy of this great power. The hatred directly roared, and then rushed up. Hulk, who was opposite him, seemed unable to speak fully at all. Facing the provocation of hatred, he could only roar. He patted his chest, like a gorilla, and rushed forward. Roar. Let out a roar. Hulk's casserole-like fist punched the hatred. But abominations are not the same as Hulk's. He was formerly an elite special forces soldier. Compared with ordinary people, both combat awareness and skills are perfect. Even if it turns into an abomination, his powerful fighting skills are still there. I saw that Abomination displayed a flexibility that didn't match his huge amounts of body at all. A dodge, avoiding Hulk's powerful punch. Then it's just a pull. Hulk staggered out of the way, losing his balance. Hate will naturally not let go of such a good opportunity. He chased after Hulk and punched Hulk in the back. The group of heads hit the deep mountain of Hulk, making a muffled sound. Roar. Hulk could only let out a roar of impotent rage. The Abomination wouldn't give him the chance. Get in power and don't forgive others. Picking up a wall from the ground, he slapped Hulk. Clap clap. Hulk was slapped in the face. You maggot, despicable guy, why do you have such great power? Only I am worthy of such a powerful force. I am the real god. Hate rampantly opened the mouth and said. Roar. Hulk just responded with a growl. The muscles of the body are bulging high. Green Titan is a very perverted guy. The angrier you are, the stronger you are. In the movie, Hulk's powers are weakened by more than a little bit. Prime time. This is the Green Titan, but it can punch a star. Although the current Hulk has not reached that level. But his strength is not weak. After being angry, his strength increased to a very perverted level. Hulk is invincible. Hulk growled. Clap your hands. The air suddenly compressed. An air cannon shot at the Abomination. Hate didn't notice it for a while, but was knocked out by the huge amounts of air cannon. Although Hulk has no fighting skills. But it is very capable of fighting, and Dr. Banner is completely different from the same kind of person. Naturally, this opportunity will not be missed. Rushed up suddenly. There was a bang 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 sound. Before the Abomination could react, Hulk punched him directly without saying a word. Hate was stunned for a moment. For a while, there was no strength to resist. Hulk grabbed a thick chain on the ground with his backhand. Wrapped directly on the shoulder of the Abomination. The thick iron chain of the arm was caught by Hulk's powerful force. Straight into the flesh of loathing. Even if he hates this kind of monster, facing this kind of attack, he can hold on to the iron chain for a while, unable to resist. Abomination is inferior to Hulk after all. It must also conform to the basic law of biology. In the face of this powerful force, he couldn't breathe for a while. Slowly, he also directly lost his own strength, and fell powerlessly to the ground. Roar. Hulk slapped his chest and roared into the sky. Banner. At this moment, among a crashed helicopter on the ground, a blonde woman stepped out, calling Banner's name. Hulk seemed to be moved, struggling, as if he was about to turn into Dr. Banner in a moment. Just at this time, somehow, the Screw General lying behind his daughter. The pistol in his hand suddenly went off. A bullet landed directly on Hulk. A bullet, of course, can't hurt Hulk, even if it comes to take the skin, it can't break it. Roar. Hulk let out a growl at Ross. The strong airflow even makes Ross' face a bit shapeshifting. But, after all, Hulk still took his girlfriend's face into consideration. He took a deep look at the two of them, turned around and ran away. With huge amounts of body, it exudes astonishing power. Like a heavy tank, the Hulk crashed directly into the nearby store. Reinforced concrete, in front of his perverted body, seemed to be tofu. It shatters when touched. Hulk charged like this, trying to escape the pursuit of the military. He rushed towards Bleecker Street. New York Holy Place. Aldridge is visiting the holy place in New York with Li Xuan. Kamar Taj is not a happy place. Except for a few magicians who focus on academics, most magicians have to fight. The enemies they face are also very dangerous. Evil gods from different dimensions, various evil creatures, evil spirits, devils, etc. To know. There is hell in the Marvel Universe. All kinds of powerful devils and alien creatures emerge endlessly. Kamar Taj's protection accounted for a large part of the reason why there was no big commotion. All kinds of evil spirits and otherworldly creatures were killed by the magicians of Kamar Taj. Besides, the magicians guard the three holy places. After all, this is the barrier that separates the earth from various different spaces. Many Mephistas who want to enter the earth are thinking of the holy place. So there are magicians stationed in the holy place all the time. Aldridge is taking Li Xuan to familiarize himself with the duties of the holy place. After all, Li Xuan will eventually fight in the future. Xuan, the holy place is a very important part of our Kamar Taj. It is the barrier of the whole world. You must guard it well in the future. You are going to be a great magician in the future. Aldridge said with a smile on his face. I understand, teacher. However, isn't the holy place protected by magic? Why do you need to guard it? Li Xuan asked puzzledly. The holy place can defend against magic attacks, but it cannot defend against ordinary attacks, or internal attacks. Any bomb can destroy the defense of holy place. Humanity develops too fast. Aldridge sighed. Boom. The sound of huge amounts of buildings collapsing rang out. Is this the invasion you speak of? Li Xuan widened his eyes and said. That's right. Aldridge is also confused. Boom. Boom. The walls of New York's holy place exploded. Stones flew everywhere. A huge amounts of green monster broke in from the outside. Who? How dare you trespass on my holy place in New York? The roar sounded. Several magicians stood up directly. They are naturally the guardian magicians of the holy place. Is it the Hulk? Why is he here? Aldridge said in shock. You know Hulk too. Li Xuan said in surprise. I definitely know. Hulk caused huge amounts of confusion some time ago. At that time, Sorcerer Supreme wanted to make a move. It was only later controlled by humans. We Kamar Taj are not primitive people, so we naturally know what's going on outside. In fact, we are closely connected with the outside world, otherwise how would we protect the world? Aldridge spoke. Li Xuan nodded. I see. Indeed. Even in New York, Sorcerer Supreme made a move. How could Kamar Taj have no contact with the outside world? Moreover, the Chitauri invade. With so few Avengers, how could it be possible to control so many Chitauri people? Kamar Taj took the shot naturally. So Kamar Taj is not completely disconnected from the outside world. Li Xuan looked at the irritable Hulk over there. But, magicians, can you really deal with Hulk? Li Xuan looked at the magician who summoned the magic shield, with a bit of disbelief on his face. He didn't think the gang could handle Hulk. Especially without a big magician. Whether I can deal with Hulk or not, I can't let him destroy the holy place. Xuan, stand back, I'll deal with this monster. Talking. Aldridge shook his hands. Two golden light shields emerged directly. Without saying a word, he rushed up directly. And over there. Hulk had already made his move. Facing these unknown opponents, Hulk didn't mean to be afraid, and went crazy. He dared to fight anyone. With a fist as big as a casserole, he directly punched the magicians around him. Boom. That powerful and perverted force directly hit the golden magic shield. Guard the existence of the holy place here. The weakest is also the senior magician. It can be said to be the backbone of Kamar Taj's combat effectiveness. Among ordinary people, it can be said to be very powerful. But who are they facing? It's Hulk. Even among Avengers, he is a formidable fighting force. Even people as strong as Asgard are amazed by Hulk's mighty strength. According to the level of the Marvel world. Hulk's strength has reached the peak of mortals, the strongest under the false Heavenly Father. A senior magician is equivalent to an ordinary superhero. Facing this monster with a hand that can stop a starship, how can they resist it? Even the current Hulk is not as powerful as it was during the New York War. But still can't resist. Punch down. The magic shield shattered. The extremely tyrannical force directly sent the resisting magician flying out. If it wasn't for this magician's powerful body, he would have died with just one blow. But that didn't stop the magicians. These magicians rushed forward one after another, using powerful magic to control Hulk. The powers of several magicians combined to form a shield that blocks Hulk's attacks. Several other magicians also condensed magic chains, trying to restrain Hulk and make him calm. But they completely underestimated Hulk's power. Roar. Hulk was getting furious. The muscles on his body bulged high, and the powerful force exploded directly. The magic chains that controlled Hulk's body were shattered by his tyrannical power. Several magicians were also thrown out directly. Bang bang bang. Several magicians fell directly on the wall of the holy place. Dust fell down. Several magicians vomited blood directly. A team of elite senior magicians are no match for Hulk at all. Hulk is rampant. Aldridge has a magic shield in one hand and a magic chain in the other. He charged at Hulk. Li Xuan thought that Aldridge showed his skills and cut Hulk off the horse. See you. Aldridge flew straight back at triple speed. Li Xuan. Good guy. Your strength is not as good as that of a senior magician, what are you going to do? Send ahead. But after all, he is his own teacher. Li Xuan stepped up, caught Aldridge, took a few steps back, and let go of the powerful force. Go, notify the big magician. Let's stop him for a while. Go. Aldridge's face was flushed, which was caused by the surge of energy and blood. Li Xuan sighed. If you are like this, don't you want to die if you go up? Li Xuan can't let this happen. Mr. Aldridge, you should take a good rest. I'll go up and stop him. It's a good time to try to see how strong I am now. Li Xuan's eyes flashed with excitement. Hulk is really strong. But now is definitely not the peak. If this was the time of the Great War in New York, that lap would be able to stop at least 1,000-ton Starship Hulk, and Li Xuan turned around and left. Too bad he isn't now. The current Hulk is still in the period when it just became Hulk. It's not that strong right now. Li Xuan went straight to meet him. Roar. Seeing a person appearing in front of him again, Hulk yelled at Li Xuan. With huge amounts of roar, the surrounding soil fragments flew out. Then, Hulk rushed towards Li Xuan like an elephant. Every step is on the ground, leaving huge amounts of footprints. Arriving in front of Li Xuan, he punched him with one punch. A fist as big as a casserole set off a gust of wind in the air. Li Xuan didn't have any intention of backing down. Also directly towards the front, that is, a punch. Boom. One big and one small, the two fists collided directly. A burst of huge amounts of airflow spread towards the surroundings. All the stones on the ground were blown away. It seems that your strength is not very good. Li Xuan said lightly. There was an excited expression on his face. His current strength. Really strong. God-level ability is really abnormal. Speaking of which, Li Xuan also punched him again, causing Hulk to stagger. The two were entangled for a moment. Aldridge, who was lying on the ground, suddenly widened his eyes. Fight the Hulk. Fighting Hulk purely by physical means. Is that human being? Is this power really human power? Is the Kamar Taj fighting technique practiced by Li Xuan really the same as theirs? This power. It's too strong. What a monster. This guy Li Xuan is so perverted. New York holy place. Huge amounts of fighting sounded non-stop. The surrounding things keep exploding. The cabinets and bookshelves that were originally stored in the province were blown apart by a powerful force. And the two sides at war. On one side is the burly, muscular Hulk. The other party, of course, is Li Xuan. If, at the beginning, Li Xuan was beaten by Hulk because of his lack of combat experience. But slowly, Li Xuan grew up very fast. The combat experience is getting richer and richer. He even fought with the mighty Hulk, and he didn't lose the slightest bit. Bang bang. Huge amounts of vibration sounded constantly. There was nothing fancy about the fight between the two, it was the purest power, the purest violence. The battle between the two was really punching to the flesh. I punch you, you punch me. The magician next to him looked twitching. Forget about Hulk. That muscle, that physique, looks very violent at first glance. But what about you, Li Xuan? Why did he fight back and forth with Hulk, the beast? Aldridge, how did your apprentice teach? Fighting back and forth with this guy Hulk is crazy. The corners of the mouths of several magicians twitched. Watching the fight between the two of them, they were terrified. If the huge amounts of fist hit them, they will probably be beaten to death, right? But Li Xuan didn't seem to care at all. How powerful is this body? Is this something that can be cultivated by practicing magic? The other magicians were stunned, and Aldridge was no exception. Looking at Li Xuan, the corners of his mouth couldn't help twitching. This is genius. This is too perverted. Everyone practices the same magic, why can you be so good? The shock of a group of magicians did not affect Li Xuan. In the midst of battle, Li Xuan finally mastered his power perfectly. Every punch and kick carried astonishing strength, even Hulk couldn't bear a few punches. Roar. Hulk roared constantly. Attack on Li Xuan. The holy place was beaten by two people and looked very miserable. Okay, I'm not interested in wrestling with you anymore. It's time to end. Li Xuan shook his head. Roar. Hulk ignored Li Xuan's words and rushed over directly. He punched Li Xuan twice. Li Xuan has completely mastered his power at this moment. Whether it is the reaction speed and strength, it is no longer comparable to what it was just now. Li Xuan dodged it. Hulk's punch rubbed against Li Xuan's body. Li Xuan punched Hulk twice in the stomach. Under such an attack, his stomach couldn't help but bend. Li Xuan took the opportunity to jump up and hit Hulk on the back with an elbow. Single quote. The muscles in his body trembled like waves. Hulked by this incomparably powerful force, Hulk couldn't support himself for a while, and fell directly to the ground. Li Xuan directly raised his foot and kicked directly on Hulk. His huge amounts of body directly smashed the shelf next to him. Boom. A puff of smoke walks. Hulk stood up again. Roar. He roared at Li Xuan. Hulk rushed towards Li Xuan again. As expected of the Hulk. Boundless strength, without the slightest fatigue. Li Xuan sighed. Hulk's power seems to be infinite. This powerful radiation almost turned him into a beast. Unfortunately, your strength is not enough. My strength is stronger. Li Xuan sneered. His body shook, and the linen robes on his body stood upright. Around him, a large number of light spots of various colors appeared again. All kinds of different cosmic energies, even powerful forces from the deep dimensions, are starting to appear all around. Then for a moment, it was absorbed into the body by Li Xuan. The magician next to him was taken aback. Aldridge, your apprentice is crazy. This energy absorbing, the body will not be able to stand it. This is simply a life-threatening joke. Several magicians were taken aback. A magician even trembled with excitement, they really couldn't imagine this kind of power. But there was no fluctuation on Aldridge's face, and he sneered in his heart. What is this? You didn't see the first time this kid practiced this magic. That attracted energy is much stronger than it is now. Although it is the same magic, but different people use it, it is completely different. Li Xuan's ability. How do they compare? Quote. Aldridge didn't speak, but stared at Li Xuan in the middle. I saw after absorbing these energies from the multi-universe. The aura of power on Li Xuan's body became even stronger. And Hulk rushed towards Li Xuan like a beast. This time, Li Xuan didn't intend to dodge at all. He punched Hulk in front of him. Absolute physical strength. Let me try to see who is stronger. During the conversation, the two collided together. Huge amounts of airflow, centered on the two of them, spread out to the surroundings. On the ground, stones the size of watermelon files were blown up by this powerful force. Boom boom boom. A few times, huge amounts of sounded, and Hulk took a few steps back suddenly. Every step would leave a hole on the ground more than half a meter deep. The entire holy place in New York was vibrating non-stop. Hulk didn't admit defeat at all, and charged forward again. But this time, Li Xuan was more fully prepared. Stepping back with his left foot, he mobilized all the muscles in his body. Starting from the calf, to the waist and abdomen, and then to the arms, the strength of every muscle was concentrated on this punch. Boom. Two fists collided together. Obviously there is a huge disparity, one big and one small. But what is unreasonable is that the smaller fist won. Gaba. There was a crisp sound. The whole Hulk flew out directly. In the end, a large character was directly displayed and pasted directly on the wall of the holy place. The muscles on Hulk's huge arms are all in a weird twist, and the muscles are a bit shapeshifting. That is the incomparably powerful and weird power contained in Li Xuan's fist. Hiss. The few magicians who looked around took a breath. What did they see? Hulk lost. It's normal for Hulk to lose. But Hulk lost in strength. This is what shocked them the most. Who is Hulk? A monster that resists tank guns physically and grabs missiles with one hand. Physical strength can be said to be unparalleled in the world. But Li Xuan actually won. Everyone is practicing the same magic, why can you be so good? New York Holy Place. The holy place in New York at this moment, after enduring the battle between two people. It can be said to be a mess. Fragments of various stones and buildings can be seen everywhere. Hulk was directly embedded on the spare wall, struggling constantly. As he not only moved, the injuries on his body were repairing at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, it returned to normal. Hulk just stared at Li Xuan. There was an expression of disbelief on his face. He actually lost. The invincible Hulk lost. Why can a small human being possess such power? Why? He doesn't believe it. Roar. Hulk let out another roar. At this moment, Hulk doesn't have a high IQ, but he is very stubborn. With that huge amount of hand, he patted himself on the back. A large piece of the wall shattered, and Hulk flew out, flying towards Li Xuan in midair. Li Xuan glanced at him. Step up. Fist. There was an extremely sharp hissing sound in the air. His fist broke through the sound barrier in an instant. This punch hit Hulk directly in the chest. Hulk's chest suddenly rippled. Then Hulk flew back at a speed several times faster than when he came, and was embedded in the wall again. Roar. Hulk let out another roar. But compared to before, Hulk's roar this time was more than 10% weaker than before. There was also a hint of fear in the way he looked at Li Xuan. Even with Hulk's simple IQ. Also found. The one in front of him was someone he couldn't beat at all. Terrible. In front of his best strength, he was blown away. Hulk is like a beast. Now I don't have as high an IQ as I will in the future, only the most basic instinct. Now Hulk feels instinctive fear. Even magicians can tell that Hulk is strong on the outside but capable on the inside. Hulk struggled to climb out of the wall. Roar. The Hulk protested and yelled at Li Xuan. Then. Turn around and run. If you run away again, I won't be polite. Li Xuan's calm voice sounded from behind. Click. Hulk's body seemed to be under the holding spell of Sun Haozi, and he stopped suddenly. He turned around and looked at Li Xuan's face full of grievances. Hulk looked at Li Xuan with a little fear in his heart. They all want to escape, what else do you want? Hulk had never been so aggrieved. If it wasn't for the fact that the guy in front of him was so powerful that he couldn't beat him, how could he be so honest? Get Dr. Banner out. Li Xuan said lightly. Roar. Hulk roared and smashed his fists directly on the ground, leaving a big hole, looking very angry. Li Xuan made a long sound. Hulk froze in fright. The second half of the shout was directly swallowed into the throat. Like a mouse that has seen a cat, it does not dare to move. The magicians next to him looked dumbfounded. Aldridge even stared at the bell like a bell. Good guy. This is Hulk. The guy who came out of the military laboratory. Even the top technology of mankind cannot deal with this monster. Hulk's powerful strength can forcibly resist humans' active weapons. Unless you take out a large electromagnetic gun or a laser weapon, you can't deal with this monster at all. But now, this monster, like a kitten, did not dare to blow its fur in front of Li Xuan. If it weren't for this guy's irritable nature, I'm afraid he would be acting like a baby at this moment. What kind of magical world is this? Why is his student physically able to crush Hulk? Aldridge had a deep question in his heart. Everyone learns the same kind of magic, so why is Li Xuan's power completely different from theirs? Aldridge glanced at Li Xuan. Then it dawned on me. Wrong. They magicians are normal. Their magic is also normal. The abnormal one is Li Xuan. His ability to turn normal things into abnormal ones, this kid is a pervert. Aldrich cursed in his heart. There. Under Li Xuan's strong coercion. Although Hulk was reluctant on the face, his body began to change very honestly. The green color on his body twisted for a while, and he let out a roar, looking very painful. Then, Hulk's body shrinks rapidly like a balloon pierced by a steel needle. Eventually it became a normal file size. Snapped. Dr. Banner collapsed to the ground, unconscious. It was exactly the same as when Hulk was knocked unconscious by Thanos. Li Xuan knows. This is the reason for the excessive energy consumption in Hulk's body. Energy is conserved. Hulk's abnormal body repair ability and strong physical fitness are not for nothing. Li Xuan walked in front of several magicians. These magicians all took a few steps back in fright because of Li Xuan's might. Then they remembered. Li Xuan is with them. So several people smiled awkwardly. Mr. Aldrich, what about Dr. Banner? Li Xuan asked. Several senior magicians didn't speak either, they also looked at Aldrich and waited for him to make a decision. Logically speaking, Aldrich is not qualified to handle this kind of thing. Although Aldrich was pretty good before, he is just a basic teacher now. However, Li Xuan is here. Naturally, they didn't dare to say anything. Aldrich naturally knew this truth, and he didn't make a claim without authorization, so he spoke. Let's wait for the big magician to come and deal with it. It's not up to us to decide. Exactly. We have notified the big magician. A few senior magicians guarding the holy place quickly opened their mouths. After saying a word, they felt a little embarrassed, so they said a word and started to repair the holy place. Aldrich looked at Li Xuan with a strange expression on his face. Aldrich, teacher, why are you looking at me like that? Li Xuan said. How did you do that? Able to suppress the Hulk. Aldrich couldn't help but ask. Definitely because you taught me the Kamar Taj fighting technique. It's really amazing. Li Xuan spoke very seriously. Question mark question mark question mark. Aldrich was speechless. If you don't want to say it, forget it. What does it mean to ignore Hiroto so much? This kid is abnormal, it's not about magic at all. This guy's ability is too abnormal. Aldrich thought. If this continues, this kid may not only be able to become a big magician. I'm afraid, with the capital of Sorcerer Supreme. Kamar Taj. The king is practicing in the room. A magician hurried in from the outside. Wong calmly opened his eyes. Why is there such a hurry? As a magician, don't you understand the principle of calmness? Wong said lightly. Hearing this, the magician obediently stood up and spoke. Yes, big magician, I see. Seeing his eyes come down, Wong asked. What the hell happened? You were in such a hurry. It's such a big magician. Just now, Hulk broke into our holy place in New York. It takes a big magician to subdue the Hulk. The magician spoke. Hulk. Wong suddenly stood up. Why didn't you say it earlier? Magician. Wong has no time to care about the magician's mood. He is very worried now. Who is Hulk? To put it bluntly, it was a monster. Powerful strength and violent temper can cause astonishing destructive power. This guy broke into holy place. No. Can't delay. Wong directly reached out and opened a portal, which directly teleported to the teleportation holy place next to the library. Base. Two voices sounded, and two shields appeared in Wang's hands. Turned around by the gate in front of him, and adjusted the teleportation position directly to the holy place in New York. Wong directly walked in with one step. The magician King Kamar Taj is here again, how dare Hulk be presumptuous? When the king entered, he roared angrily. The full-hearted voice rang directly in the holy place. Huh, where's the Hulk? As soon as Wong came out of the portal, he saw a bunch of magicians looking at him like monkeys in a zoo. The so-called Hulk is nowhere to be seen. But, a big magician is a big magician after all. Not only is he strong, but he is also thicker-skinned than ordinary people. Coupled with Wang Tiansheng's paralyzed face, no depth can be seen at all. So he spoke very naturally. Hearing Wang's question, a senior magician spoke. Reporting to the great magician, Hulk has been subdued. Now you need to decide what to do with Hulk. Quote. Subdued. Who subdued the Hulk? Wang was a little surprised. That's Hulk. He felt that with the blessing of the holy place, he would be 50-50 with Hulk. If it was outside, Wang definitely didn't want to fight this monster. But, Hulk was subdued. Among Kamar Taj, is there anyone who can subdue Hulk? So smart. Wong had various thoughts in his mind, but on the surface he remained calm. It's Li Xuan. The magician asked. Who is it? There was an expression of disbelief on Wang's face. He didn't get it wrong, did he? Who is that magician talking about? Li Xuan. Is it true that he heard wrong? Li Xuan, that intern magician, can subdue Hulk. Are you kidding? It's Li Xuan. The magician spoke again. Hiss. It's really this kid. Wang gasped. This kid has only been a magician for a few days. Will it be able to subdue the Hulk? This world is really a bit abnormal. Wang couldn't help being a little startled. This kid's ability is a bit abnormal. Li Xuan, how did you subdue Hulk? Is it by magic? This kid's magic is indeed a bit perverted. Wang couldn't help but nodded and said. Li Xuan's magic power is quite strong. Kamar Taj's library can be destroyed by him, and it is not impossible to use this powerful magic to subdue Hulk. After all, magic is the ability to exert a very terrifying power, defeating the strong with the weak. But, the magician in front of him had a strange expression, hesitant to speak. It's not like that, big magician. This kid subdued Hulk purely by flesh. Hulk was beaten badly by Li Xuan. I think if it wasn't for Hulk, I'm afraid I would have knelt down and begged for mercy just now. You didn't see it, this guy is too violent. The magician couldn't help but speak. While speaking, he couldn't help but be elated, and his heart was filled with emotion. Wang was even more shocked. His lips trembled a little, and his hands behind his back couldn't help but tremble a little. It's not that he's restless. Rather, Li Xuan is a bit perverted. It would be fine if he subdued the Hulk with magic. But with the body. Hulk, who is that? That's a metamorphosis that specializes in physical strength, a metamorphosis that uses the physical body to deal with tanks. Li Xuan crushed Hulk with his body. What international joke. Their Kamar Taj magicians are physically strong, but they also need to pay attention to basic laws. When fighting, they also rely on magic to fight. He looked at his surroundings, and then at Dr. Banner lying on the ground. But Wang had to admit it. The magician in front of him said nothing wrong. Li Xuan, this kid. It is true that Hulk, the beast, was subdued by using his powerful body. Young people are too aggressive these days. It's also practicing magic. Why is this kid exceptionally good? Wang couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This boy Wang is really a bit unusual. I sighed in my heart. Wang began to worry about Dr. Banner in front of him again. It's a trouble. Big magician, what should we do with this one? The senior magician asked. What else can I do? Throw him to New Delhi, we can't kill him. Wang said angrily. Let's not talk about whether they can kill or not. If it does wake this guy up, it's even more trouble. But Banner, this guy, can't compensate them for their losses. In the eyes of ordinary people, they are still very mysterious. Not even S.H.I.E.L.D. knows the existence of Kamar Taj. If Dr. Banner is exposed, they're probably exposed too. There is no way to explain this to Sorcerer Supreme. For the present situation, Wang could only pinch his nose and let this guy go. This can only be said to be a disaster without reason. When there is a chance in the future, we must let this guy compensate us for our losses. Wang Leng snorted and said. Talking. He stretched out his hand and swiped it in front of him. The golden portal then emerged. Raise your hand. Dr. Banner was directly thrown into the portal by Wang. Call the magician and fix the holy place. Fortunately, this guy didn't cause too much damage, otherwise it would be troublesome. Wang couldn't help shaking his head. Fortunately, the holy place is still very strong. Although it seems to be severely damaged, important parts of the world are not damaged, and the function can still be maintained. Otherwise, if those big Mephistos run in, things will be troublesome. This world has really become dangerous, let's send a big magician to the holy place to sit in charge in the future. Wang thought in his heart. Thanks for watching, please subscribe and support our channel.